I remember the video.
Oh, sorry. Let's go. I now call the October meeting of Leeton Shire Council to order. The time being 6:33 p.m. Welcome councillors, staff and members of the community in the gallery and online. I'd like to remind everybody that in the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government, this meeting of the Leeton Shire Council is being streamlined live on council social media accounts, and then the recording will be uploaded to the council website. Please stand while Councillor Nardi, just pause for 2 seconds. Please stand while Councillor Nardi leads us through the civic prayer. Councillor Kidd does the acknowledgement of countries. When you're ready, please.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom and support as we perform our roles as councillors, making decisions for our community in Leeton Shire. Amen.
Thank you. Councillor Kidd.
Leeton Shire Council acknowledges the Wiradjuri people and their continued impact on our community. We acknowledge their connection to the land, water and sky. We acknowledge all Aboriginal people who have made Leeton Shire their home, and as such we pay our respects to all Aboriginal elders past, present and emerging of our shire.
Thank you. Please be seated. Are there any apologies tonight?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Tracy Morris is overseas and has asked for an apology and also a leave of absence. And just for the record, Councillor Sarah Tiffin is online this evening.
Okay. Could I have a move by seconder, please? Councillor Nardi, second by Councillor Kidd. Thank you very much. The next item is the confirmation of the minutes from Tuesday, the 8th of October. Is anyone prepared to confirm those minutes? Move for a seconder. Move Councillor Kidd, second by Councillor Mayton.
You've got to move. Put the motion.
You're going to put the motion? Aye. Thank you. Right, we have one late report tonight, being the status update on the state of the Shire report. Is anyone prepared to accept that this late report be added to the agenda for discussion? Move Councillor Wright and second by Councillor Kidd. The motion put all in favour? Thank you. Thank you. It will become item 8.1.12. Right, the disclosure of conflicts of interest. Now I've got one. In 8.1.9, Roxy build and budget update, I'm declaring a pecuniary conflict of interest as I am the mechanical contractor for the Roxy. So I'll just pass it on. Is there any more conflicts? All right, good. There'll be no mayoral minute tonight. We are moving directly to General Manager's matters, starting with the annual financial statement. All right. This evening, we have the auditors with us for our first report on the annual financial statements, as well as the chair of our ARIC committee. GM, please can you introduce everyone and also explain the change that is being proposed in the recommendation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First thing, if I could introduce the councillors to the auditors that we have on screen. First, from the Audit Office of New South Wales, we have Quentin Wong. Then from RSD Audit, we have Josh Polka and Kranos Moyo. And the fourth person on the screen with the audit type of hat on this evening is the chair of our ARIC committee, Mr. Graham Bradley. Mr. Mayor, the original recommendation that was presented is now being recommended to be updated, I suppose, to be more official, really. It's asking now that It's the yellow highlighted bit on councillors' screens. It's got 3 points instead of 2. The first one is that council receives and notes the financial statements and the presentations of the auditors. Second one is about approving the signing of the financial statements. And the third one is noting that they'll become available to the public for viewing within 7 days of tonight's meeting. So, Mr. Mayor, that's the amended recommendation from staff this evening.
Thank you, General Manager. We will now ask the auditor to present the report, followed by some commentary from the ARIC Chair. Thank you to the auditor. Are you ready to go? Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So it's my pleasure tonight to present to you on the results of Council's 2024 year audit. So I'll be through the draft report onto the audit, which is a prescribed document by the Office of Local Government Code. So I am able to report to you that Council will be issued with an unqualified audit opinion upon its financial statements for the year ending 30 June 2024. This means that the financial statements contain no material misstatements and are presented fairly. In terms of the overall statement analysis, the income statement sees positive movements in operating results for both rates revenue and grants revenue of 5.6% and 8.9% respectively. This is contrasted by a very slight 1.5% decline in operating result, while the net result before capital grants and contributions has considerably reduced. The reason for this and the influence of the result is timing of the financial assistance grants. Last year, they were fully paid, whereas this year, 85% of the full financial assistance grants for the year in terms of timing was paid in 2024. So that influenced the result. Looking at cash flow analysis, we can see that there is a decline in net cash inflows from operating activities, while net cash outflows for investing activities has increased. This is mainly for infrastructure and property, plant and equipment payments. Also, we also see that cash flows from financing activities has remained steady. In terms of financial position, Council's cash and cash equivalents has declined by $3.2 million overall. And the restricted cash held comprises this full amount. Due to timing, Council subsequently borrowed after year end to address this. In terms of the next item I'd like to go over is the Office of Local Government Performance Measures. So as contained within Council's financial statements, note G4-1, which references page 73 of the financial statements, there's 6 key performance ratios that are audited within the general purpose financial statements. Council has predominantly favourable results for these measures, having met 4 of the 6 benchmarks. It is noted that Council met all benchmarks last year. Those benchmarks which Council did not meet this year were the operating performance ratio, which sits at negative 0.4% in comparison with 3.8% in the prior year, which is below the OLG benchmark of 0% or nil. The other measure is the unrestricted current ratio, which sits at 1.4 times, which is only just below the OLG benchmark of 1.5 times. And this measure experienced a slight deterioration from 2.15 times in comparison to last year. Council invested in infrastructure and asset renewals of $15.9 million during 2024, with the majority of that being incurred on roads and bridges. Furthermore, $4.3 million worth of new assets were acquired during the year. Finally, in terms of legislative compliance, our procedures did not identify any instances of material non-compliance with the financial reporting requirements or regulations pertaining to Council's financial statements. Specifically, accounting records were adequately maintained and we were provided all information freely that was relevant to conduct our audit procedures with no restrictions. We take this opportunity to thank management for that in completing our audit. That concludes my presentation.
Well, thank you very much, auditors and Graham Bradley. Your feedback has been very useful.
Still got to go.
Oh, Graham's got to go. Sorry, Graham. I cut you off, my friend. Graham, you there, Graham?
Oh, he's on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, mate. Yep.
Yeah. So do you want to ask Josh questions or do you want me to make some comments?
I'll make some comments and then we can ask some questions afterwards.
Okay. We met last Friday, sorry. And our principal agenda item, of course, was the financial statements, and Josh Quentin Krenos was present. So my comments won't be new to them. My first observation, you'll notice from my report, is that Council received an unqualified audit report in both the general purpose and the special purpose financial statements. And that's the first time in a number of years that that's been the case. As you're probably all well aware, Leeton Shire has taken a very strong stance in the treatment of accounting for rural fire service assets. And fortunately, through your general manager, myself, Ken Crawford, John Stewart, Alison Boleyn, we've been very, very aggressive in our views that council should have never, ever brought to account rural fire service assets. Fortunately, most councils in the state agreed with us, particularly all the rural councils, and they had their statements qualified too. And this is after us seeking advice at the highest level from some of the best professionals going around. We adopted their advice. The audit office didn't accept it, much to their detriment. In fact, the audit office has never been able to produce anything to contradict the arguments in the Parker report or the report that we've got from a very large accounting firm in Melbourne. Fortunately, there was a change in Auditor General recently, and we got the old one left, fortunately. I don't think she was up to the job. And a new Auditor General was appointed who overturned the previous Auditor General's decision. I believe saw the merits of our argument, and therefore all qualifications have now been lifted. What they should really do is apologise and go back and amend all previous audit reports that they qualified incorrectly. I guess they won't be doing that. It is a major back down by the New South Wales Audit Office and is long overdue. To update you further, the matter is now, the treatment of rural fire service assets is now being adjudicated upon in the Public Accounts Committee. We haven't made a decision yet, but I expect that there will be one shortly, and I anticipate that they will concur with the way that we've been treating rural fire service assets. So that's an important one, long overdue. The qualifications you've had in past years are incorrect and should never have been given. And that is now, whilst it hasn't been acknowledged by the Audit Office, it's most certainly from their actions, you can take that as being the case. Okay. As Josh has gone through and reported on the operating results of councils, and but what I'd like to do is just drill down a bit further than that, and that's what I've done in my report. And overall, there was a surplus of 119,000 compared with the surplus of 1.55 million in the previous year. And on the surface of it, you'd say, whoa, 2024, council's gone backwards. That's not the case. Because as Josh just alluded to, the two big movers. One was the financial assistance grant and the cutbacks that happened in 2023-24. Council over the past few years has been getting advance payments of the FAG grant. No one really knows why, but that's just been the case. And all that income that we received or that you received has been brought to account as operating income, and it's made the previous year's results look pretty good. And obviously it's confused a lot of people because it hasn't matched income with, hasn't lost the matching concept with income and expenses. But that's the way that it's required to be treated, and that's the way Leeton Shire treated. So we brought to account over about $5 million over the past few years for monies in advance. This year that didn't happen. So the FAG grant income reduced from 7.13 million to 5.55 million. A huge decrease. The other big mover was depreciation expenses. So depreciation due to revaluation, as Josh just said, principally from roads, that increased by 1.25 million. So you got a double barrel impact on the financial statements in 23-24. You lost, $1.5, $1.6 million in FAG grant as compared with last year. And you also got whacked with another 1.25 million in increased expenditures through depreciation. So the impact of those two items alone on the 2023-24 operating result was 2.83 million compared with last year. That's a big number, but you still managed to show a surplus. And if you're comparing apples with apples, it's certainly a better result than the previous year. So that's good. Good improvement. There's other items there that I've highlighted that materially impact on the financial statements. The regional local roads repair program, they were considerably higher this year. Council makes a bit of a surplus on that each and every year. So that was a good year for that. Your gains from the disposal of assets was 264,000 compared with 168. And you might say, well, that's not a lot of money. I'm just pointing out to you some of the non-core activities of councils that you're receiving income from, which can't be guaranteed going forward and which you've got no control over. So I don't really count net gain and sales of assets as part of council's core operations. And nor is investment income. It can vary greatly, as we've seen with the fluctuation in interest rates over the past few years. But you received a significant increase in investment income. Interest on investments amounted to 2.42 million in the current year compared with 1.52 million the previous years. So that's almost $1,900,000 increase. And of course, there was also significant charges in the water, sewage, domestic waste management charges, which also helped this year's result. One item I did point out to council, to the committee the other night, was the operating results of the individual funds. Every fund's got to stand alone. Can't be cross-subsidised from the other funds. It's got to demonstrate it can stand on its own. As we've just said, the overall consolidated operating result for the year before capital amounts was 119,000. Yeah, it sounds as though we just got over the line. But of that 119,000, general fund contributed a deficit of 905,000. Water fund was a big gain. It was at 985,000 surplus. And sewage had a small fund surplus of 39,000. So all of it, as you can see, we're out of whack. Because general fund has to demonstrate that it can cover operating expenses through its operating income. So the general fund results continue to be of concern to me as chairman of, or as former chairman of ARIC, sorry. And I think that that's the most pressing issue council needs to address in its first term in office. How can we turn the general fund around? I'm not so much worried about the minor funds. They can recover. They're not subject to the constraints that the general fund are with rate peaking, etc. But there's some major items that impacted on the general fund. And I think you're going to have to look at other forms of operating income or alternatively reduce your operating expenditures. Going through some of that, interest on investments increased by 655,000. Is the general fund only I'm talking about now. Interest on investments increased by 655,000 increased from 655,000 in 2023 to over 8 million this year. So general fund got a good lift as far as interest income is concerned. It also got a bit more from the gain from the sale of assets. It also got a bit of extra funds from the temporary sale of water, which, as we all know, can fluctuate wildly over the years. But user charge and fees income decreased in the general fund. And that was principally in response to reduced works undertaken for the Transport of New South Wales, which declined from 1.66 million in 22-23 to 498,000 in the current year. Can't do much about that. You have no control. It's what you're allocated, and that's what you have to comply with. As Josh has also referred to earlier, the cash and investments in general fund, Josh was talking about the consolidated figures, but the cash and investment in general fund now amount to 21 million, which is down from 26.6 million the previous year. And of that 21 million, 12.42 million is externally restricted. So you've only got about $9 million available as unrestricted or internally restricted. Council did not raise any new borrowings in 23-24. The borrowings, you're actually repaid borrowings amounting to 295, and at year end, your outstanding borrowings, which are all in general fund, by the way, are $2.14 million. But I understand that since the 30th of June, funds have been drawn down by way of loan funds to finance the Roxy Theatre renovations and the Vance Estate development. As far as the minor funds are concerned, they've made surpluses. I don't see any real drama with those financials. I regard those as satisfactory figures at this stage. There was some discussion from questions were asked about Josh mentioned the performance ratios. The one that was questioned at our meeting the other night related to the rates outstanding percentage. And one of our members was concerned that the rates outstanding was 7.98%. The year before was 7.82%, and back in 2001 it was 3.49%. So she was some concern at the increased percentage in those rates outstanding. I'm not overly concerned about it for a number of reasons. The benchmark, the OLG benchmark for rates and annual charges outstanding is 10%. So you're still, well inside the 10%. And whilst it's getting up there, it's not have any cause for alarm in my opinion. Would I like to see it come down? Yes, I would. But as we all know, we're going through this cost of living crisis at the moment. I think that's contributed to it, as has the increased charges. That's obviously contributed to it. And you've also installed smart water meters, which I think is giving more accurate readings, and maybe some of the costs are increased because of that. But also, you've got a very low provision for doubtful debts. If you had a higher provision, you'd have a lower ratio. So you've only got about 11,000 in your provision for rates doubtful debts, and the rates receivable is 1.18 million. So yes, you do have a charge over the land, and they're pretty secure. $11,000 is a pretty low provision, but it might be adequate. It's been that way for a number of years, but maybe council might like to look at that. The other matter that came up during our discussions was employee costs. And I noted that whilst overall employee costs only rose 7% and salaries and wages only rose 4%, which is much in line with what I expected, because council's been getting 4% increases in wages and salaries each year. So that's about what I would expect. but there was big increases in leave entitlements, workers' comp insurance, and superannuation. As we know, superannuation goes up. So wages and salaries up 4%. Overall, it was up 7%. But my focus the other night was on the general fund, where employees' costs rose 38% in the 4 years from 2020. But those comments are specifically referring to the general fund. If you look at the other funds, the employee costs in the water fund went down by 33% from 1.67 million to 1.1 million. And in the sewerage fund, wages and salaries went down 19.2% from 1.11 million to 898,000. So the question is, why all of a sudden have these employees moved to general fund, and are they impacting adversely on general fund? Why have water and sewage gone down? Overall, it's only a minimal increase. But why have we got this movement between the funds as far as wages and salaries are concerned? Related to that discussion was the amount of capitalised costs. And I observed that the capitalised costs in wages and salaries were much the same as the previous year, and the capitalised costs in materials and services was significantly higher, but there was no real increase in wages and salaries or contractors' costs. So who constructed those assets? When Harvey drilled down a bit, we now believe that some of those costs were included in raw materials and that should have been shown as contractors' costs. But the point that I want to draw out is that that's a very important exercise to get correct, and that is our capitalised costs. Because everything we capitalise goes straight to the asset and it comes away from the operating expenses. So if we want to get a real handle on our operating expenses, we must get the capitalised expenses correct. And I question whether we have got them correct. We may well do, but I'm not convinced about it. And I'd like council to focus on that issue in the coming few months to see and have a review of that to see whether our capitalised costs are correct or whether we're not capitalising enough, or in fact whether we're capitalising too much, because that has a huge and material impact on the bottom line. So council needs, and it may well be correct, I'm not saying it's not right, but I'd like to have some evidence that the work's been done and that figure's reliable for financial information purposes.
That would increase the depreciation.
So Mr. Mayor, congratulations, by the way, on your promotion, and to Councillor Kidd on being elected deputy. That's my comments to add to Josh's comments, and I'm happy to take any questions. I'm sure Josh is too, and Quentin, if councillors would like to ask them.
Well, first of all, we might just, I want to thank Josh and Graham Bradley for your feedback. It's been very useful. And now I'll seek a move and a seconder for the motion for your report, and then we're going to have questions afterwards. Mover, Michael Kidd, seconder, Councillor Wright. All right, is there any questions of the councillors for the visitors?
Through you, Mayor. Excuse my ignorance. It's lovely to meet you. When we talk about the vision of RFS assets in the previous years, does that have a compounding effect over the years, or once it's no longer included, does that solve the problem of the future, or are we living with the legacy of the previous inclusions?
If I can answer that, the answer hasn't had much impact at all on us because we didn't account for them. We refused to bring them to account because we did not control those assets, never have, never will. But the audit officer insisted that we did control them, but couldn't explain why. But so we held our line and said, no, we don't control them, therefore we're not going to bring them to account. So I believe our accounts present fairly.
Okay, thank you.
In answer to your question, no, there's no ongoing hangover from that.
Thank you.
Any more questions from the councillors?
Mayor to GM. At that meeting the other night, there were 145.91 time equivalents with respect to the 38% increase. What were the full-time equivalents 4 years ago?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I did ask staff to have that information on hand. I'll just look it up. Do you have that figure on you, RV? In here? I think we got a photocopy. Yes. Thank you. So in 2021, there were 151 FTE, 22, 150, 2023, 153, and 2024, 157. Now, we also included in those FTEs, we auspice 3 staff for external organisations, Leeton Connect, Jumpstart, and for a period of time, the Leeton Multicultural Support Group. And the employee benefits and on costs at a consolidated level have increased over time at the rate of 13%, which if you add up the award increases come to 12%. So we've had 12% worth of award increases over those 4 years and a total of 13% increase. And we've worked out that the 1% variance is due to lump sum bonus payments, which have come into the award for certain staff but below a certain annual income. We've got performance step increases. We also had in 2021 a 0.5% pay increase for all the outdoor teams after we did some benchmarking. And then, of course, we've got super guarantees that have happened each year as per government legislation. So all of those things have contributed. So I think that, as the ARIC chairman has said, overall, the increase is on par with award expectations, and what he's noticed is more the relative changes within the different funds, and has questioned whether we are correctly costing the capital works that are being done. And management will look into that seriously over the coming 6 months. We are also in the throes of introducing electronic timesheets that are linked to plant and fleet, and we're hoping that that new system will more accurately collect information on capital jobs that are happening. Do you want to say anything more? Our Executive Manager, Human Resources, Tracy Pearce-Bramley is here. Is there anything more to add?
For you, Mr. Mayor, just carrying on from what GM has stated, it's correct that we are in the process of going through electronic timesheets. So we've also started that process in the office team. So our next rollout is with the outdoor team, and we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes to ensure that we're into electronic timesheets, because at the moment everything is done manually.
Right. Yeah. Any more questions from councillors before I put the motion?
Through the Mayor, to the GM. I'd like to ask some questions about some of the increases in expenses in these sheets here. Is it appropriate to do that now or at some point else?
Through Mr. Mayor, I think tonight is about questioning the accuracy of the financial statements. So if Councillor Tynan's okay, let's take that offline. And then if there's anything in that discussion that you think needs to be brought back to council, we can find a way of making sure it comes back to the full council.
Okay, Councillor, good. Once again, any more questions? If there's no more questions, I'd like to put the motion. All in favour of motion? Those against? Thank you. Just before you go, Graham, we understand Friday was your last meeting as the ARIC Chairman. We'd like to express our thanks for your many years of service at ARIC Chair. You are very fair, very frank, and truly care about our financial well-beings. We appreciate your help and guidance, and best wishes to you and your wife with your future plans, Graham.
Thanks very much.
Graham, I met your brother on the weekend.
Oh, did you?
Bumped into
Arthur.
him at a conference, and
It looks a bit like you.
yeah, it was a small world, my friend. I think Councillor Kidd wants to say something.
Yeah, I'll take that opportunity. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Graham, it's been an absolute pleasure. 20 years we've been talking to each other. For me, you were an absolute revelation when you did your first audit report to us. I won't say it made accounting fun, but it certainly made sense. And I thank you for that. Over the years, my respect for your capabilities has grown. The crystal ball that you were using in 2004 when I came along, pretty well everything you said has come to pass. So that's a testament to your expertise. Graham, and the other one is thank you for the help with things like the RFS issue that we had and the depreciation. And you know, it's funny, I was at last local government conference, last one, New South Wales one. And Graham also does some work for some other councils. And you could tell in the flavour of some of the motions that were coming through that your ink was embedded in the motions. And you know, you're a man of many talents. I will miss you, and I wish you all the best for your retirement. May it be long and happy. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Kidd.
Good. Look, I just want to also thank the audit office and staff and RV, everybody involved. This report together. We much appreciate that, and thank you very much for those figures. So we can let you go. All right. You can have early tea, friend. All right. Bye-bye.
Enjoy your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we'll move on now. Thank you. Now to our next item is 8.1.2, the DA for the shed on 336 Petersham Road. Before we move anything, I ask that the manager of planning give a brief summary of the application. Is it there? Just give us a brief on, please.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. So this development application was lodged with council, and the applicant is seeking to construct a shed at 336 Petersham Road, as well as the relocation of an existing horse stable. So the zoning of the land is C4, which is environmental living, and proposal according to the Leeton LEP is permissible with consent. The neighbours were notified of the proposal, and subsequent to that, we received a few objections. Council made contact with the applicant. The applicant gave us an amended proposal. We went back to the objectors. The objectors made objection again. And from there, we finalized the DA assessment. I just need to point out that the DA was assessed in accordance with the legal requirements as stipulated on section 4.15 of the Environmental Planning Assessment Act. And the final conclusion is that the proposal is permissible with consent, and we recommended approval of this development application.
Thank you, Manager. Now, before we hear from the applicants and the objector, we will adjourn the meeting so the public can get to speak. So I need to move in a seconder that we will adjourn. Councillor Nardi, second by Councillor Mayton. Good, right, thank you. Now, thank you. We might welcome Mr. and Mrs. Deaton. You've got 3 minutes to have a chat to us.
Nigel and I would like to thank those involved in the preparation of the report for our development application. We would also like to thank members of council who inspected the development site. We believe that the report is very comprehensive and clearly outlines how our application satisfies all necessary standards. We're happy to answer any further questions the council may have.
All right, councillors, have you got any questions? Councillor Edwards? Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'm unsure how, because it's my first discussion.
Sure, that's okay, yeah.
Being a new councillor.
Yeah.
I guess my concern is reading through it, it is quite a large shed. I just want to make sure that, I'm not sure if this is the right question that you can ask, or if the manager of development can ask, is that around, is this going to be used as a business or to be lived in as well?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, if Councillor Edwards could ask that question directly to the speakers, are you going to ask?
Sorry,
Yep.
yeah, sorry, this is my first time with purely DA. Is this going to be used as a business or to be lived in? Because I do know that there's a full bathroom in there and it is quite a large, not a tall shed, but it's actually quite a long shed.
No, it won't be used to be as a business. No.
Personal use only. Personal use, okay. And my second question is, because there's a full bathroom there with a shower and that, according to the plans, is there somebody going to be living in there, or was that?
No, it's purely just for, like, if we use it for family functions or things like that, yeah.
Those were my main concerns. Thank you.
Yeah, any more questions of Mrs. Deaton? No, all right. Well, thank you very much. Mrs. D, you may sit down now.
Thanks for your time.
Good. Next, we have Mr. O'Leary. Welcome, Mr. O'Leary. The floor is yours for 3 minutes. And yes.
How are you going, everyone? Thank you for giving me this opportunity. My name's Brian O'Leary. My wife and I object to this development due to the size of the shed, which is pretty much an industrial sized shed. Depending on which way you interpret the rules and regulations, it is above height regulations, but I see in the report there are exceptions, as there are with everything. Depends which way you read it. The positioning of the shed interrupts not only our view, but of 2 other neighbours. So we prefer if the shed could be moved closer to the house and the stable area. That way everyone can enjoy the big backyards that we have down on Petersham Road, because that's part of the lifestyle, living next to the 5-bow wetlands. And we feel that will interrupt. We build such a large structure in an environmental area. That's all I've got to add.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. O'Leary. Is there any questions of the councillors for Mr. O'Leary? Councillor Nardi.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. O'Leary, I'd like to know if at any point in time that Mr. and Mrs. Deaton would be able to construct the shed to fit within say the options that you have suggested, would you and your wife be happy for them to go ahead with that?
If it was in a position closer to the house, which most of the residents along that short strip of Petersham Road have done, we would be quite agreeable to have the shed built. So it's not so intrusive, the line of sight for the majority of those people.
Beautiful, thank you.
Any more questions, Mr. Leary? No, thank you very much, Mr. Leary. Thank you. What we're going to do, we're going to go back into council. Right, so I need someone to move and second that. We'll go back into council. Moved by Councillor Wright, second by Councillor Kidd. All right. Now we're back in the council to the manager of planning. You've heard the speaker. The council should change into the staff.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Yeah, we considered the objections. We gave it due consideration. We looked at the proposal, the distances between the proposed shed and where the objectors live. It's 260 meters away. It is a hobby farm type of a lifestyle that people enjoy out there, and the proposal fully complies with the LEP.
All right, thank you very much.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, for the avoidance of any doubt and clarification, Mr. O'Leary indicated that he felt that the height of the shed exceeded what was allowed. Could you please comment on that specifically?
In this specific zone, Mr. Mayor, we set a maximum height of 8.5 meters, and that is in the LEP. So that's a principal development standard. You can't just vary it. And this shed is 5.5 meters. It's at least 3 meters below the maximum height. So the height, although it seems high, it's not high.
All right, before we open discussion, do the councillors agree that the DA should be approved with conditions?
Sorry,
Yeah.
the conditions, sorry,
Yeah.
are you talking about
The conditions which have been,
stated?
yeah, been stated. All right. If that's a yes, I take it as a yes. Are there any councillors who would like to amend any of the conditions from what you have been recommended? I take it as a no. Thank you. On the basis, please can I call for a move and a seconder for this recommendation, which is in front of you? Moved by councillor Wright, seconded by councillor Kidd. Now we have to show our hands on this one, don't we?
That's correct.
All right. So we have to put your hands up for who's in favour of this recommendation. We have to show that, it's a division. So, right. Thank you very much, everybody. So that was that one.
So for the audience can't see the screen,
No.
Mr. Mayor, so I'll just confirm that all attending councillors voted for development approval.
Yeah, we have to show our hands in DAs. So call it division.
You need to.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
She put her hand.
Did you put your hand? Yeah, sorry, I might have missed that. Yeah, all right, we're just going through some. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, just bear with me, I've just got the first time, but still no excuse. Right, thank you. Now for our next DA, this time for a church at 33 Dalbota Road. Before we move anything, I ask that the manager of planning give us a brief summary of the applicant.
The Mayor, in this case, so the proposal is for a place of public worship. That's the definition in the Leeton LEP. The proposed site is 33 Dalbota Road. The zoning of the land is R2 low density residential. And in the land use table, this particular use is identified as development permissible with consent. This development application was on public exhibition. We notified the neighbours and we received 3 objections. Again, this DA assessment was done fully in accordance with the guidelines of the Environmental Planning Assessment Act. And the final result is a recommendation that this DA be approved subject to the conditions that's recommended in this report. One of the main concerns in this particular case was the possibility that this activity might generate noise. This was done, assessed properly, and it's recommended that certain conditions be imposed to regulate the future use. That was done on previous DAs and we never had any issues with it. I can also mention that this particular religious group are operating a number of churches in Leeton over the last 101 years. And in 101 years, we haven't received any complaints about noise.
Thank you, Manager. We're going to have to move out of council again. We need to move in a second, so moved by 90 seconds by Councillor Tyne. And now we'll ask Mr. Thank you, Manager. Sorry. Now we've moved out of council. I'm going to talk to Mr. Firth. Is Mr. Firth there? Could you come forward and give your 3 minutes, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councillors and council staff. Thank you for the opportunity to say a few words to support our application. Firstly, I'd like to express our gratitude for what you do around the town in support for the Leeton community. I'd like to let you know it's noticed and appreciated. In recognition of the fact that some of our councillors here tonight are new to the role and may not be aware of the Plymouth Brethren Christian Church community and how it is an integral part of the Leeton area, I thought I'd just quickly outline some interesting facts. And if you would like further information, it's available on a website, plymouthbrethrenchristianchurch.org. We're a global community with over 54,000 members, founded around 200 years ago. Our community has been in Leeton, as just already been stated, for over 100 years, with some members moving in here in the early stages of Leeton's history in 1923. We currently have 157 members and 4 meeting places within the town being used every week. And I'm not aware of any complaints for noise being brought to the attention of the council. Our oldest meeting room is in Mellaruka Avenue, was built in 1957 and it's still in use. Our application for a well-presented small meeting place designed to blend into the surrounding residential area is for 40 people to use twice a week, gather for under an hour. As half of the persons using this room currently use Dalbarta Road to get to their current meeting room, this translates into an additional 5 cars twice per week, which I think is almost negligible. The building is designed to ensure that we know egress of sound during any services. The landscaping will be such that any noise associated with cars arriving or leaving will be contained as much as possible. We believe that government being of God, and you have the full support of our community in serving the residents in the town and surrounds. We help drive economy in the neighbourhoods which we work and serve. There are 8 businesses in this town that are owned by Plymouth Brethren Christian Church community members, which employs a total of 171 residents of the town. We pay our bills on time, we pay our taxes, and we support our staff. You may have noticed the public-facing charitable side of the church, the Rapid Relief Team, or commonly known as RRT, has been supporting functions across the area for some time now. Volunteering and giving back to society is important to us. We've completed 11 events, serving 3,175 meals this year. 700 meals for the Combined Emergency Services Day, 630 meals for the Ag Rescue Training Day, and down to 150 meals for Child Protection Week for Mission Australia. Just some of the few examples of support given. Over this period of time, we have delivered 67 food boxes, 95 snack packs, 25 cartons of cookie bars and 60 care kits, serving 25 different entities over this time. All we're asking for is a fair and equitable consideration of the application. Thank you for your attention and consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Firth. Thank you. Councillor, do you have any questions of Mr. Firth?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Edwards.
So with the hours of operation, that when we have your services, so 7 PM to 8 PM on a Monday, 6 AM to 7 AM Sunday.
Yes, that's correct.
So is that the only time this building is going to be used?
Exactly right. Yeah. Any more questions, Mr. Firth? No? Thank you, Mr. Firth. You may remain seated. Thank you. If there's no further questions, I'd like someone to move and. Yes.
Manager.
That'll happen after.
That'll happen after, right? We'll come back and we've adjourned council meeting to talk to the public. Now we'll come back in and then we'll talk to our staff. Right? Thank you. So there's no more questions of Mr. Firth. I need someone to move and second. We'll go back into council. Move by Councillor Wright and Nadia, was it? Thank you. Right now, if the council believe that we can proceed with this particular recommendation, yes, and then we debate. All right then. So if any council wants to amend these recommendations? All right, then we need you to talk to the manager.
Yes.
Yeah, you can talk to the manager now. The manager of planning, we have a question from yourself.
So I can talk. Through the mayor. In the application, there's an allowance of 5 decibels at certain times of the day. I'm just wondering, when I read that, it said that there are no allowances during nighttime. I couldn't find any definition of what a nighttime is, and I can imagine parishioners turning up at 5:45. Is that in the nighttime period?
Mr. Mayor, nighttime is defined from 10 o'clock at night until 6 o'clock in the morning. That is nighttime.
So if parishioners will be turning up at 5:45, would that mean there would be no allowance of the 5 decibels at that point in time?
No, in this instance, we use that because we used it in previous development applications. And intrusive noise is something that is measured over a 15-minute period. So it includes impulse noise as well as the quiet periods in between. And that is measured against the background noise at that particular time. So your background noise changes the whole time as the day progresses. If 6 o'clock in the morning, if the background noise is 35 decibels, then the noise level is set at 40. 40 is extremely quiet.
Yeah, so I'm only asking this because parishioners will be turning up in the nighttime period. So if it's defined as from 10 to 6, did you say? So is that 15 minutes earlier considered an impulse noise?
It will be assessed once it's going to be in use, Mr. Mayor. It's currently happening at 4 other churches in Leeton, and they are also surrounded by residential dwellings, and we never get complaints about it. This is something that this particular church is very serious about. The 6 o'clock start can't be changed. It can't go to 7 or 8. That's the way they operate around the world. And in this case, it's recommended to go ahead like that. And it is subject to conditions that will control it if there's any issues.
Well, thank you, Manager. Councillor Tyner, is that clarification of your question or the actual decibel reading or the classification of time? I think you're trying to find.
Yeah, if the law says from 10 to 6, and then it's impulse noises permitted, does that mean from what I read in the documents, it said that there can be no noises in that 10 to 6 period. So I'm only questioning that the nighttime definition is from 10 to 6. So is an impulse noise allowed for effectively in that nighttime period when parishioners will be turning up? That's all I'm questioning. Is that overlap? And if we're told to follow the law very precisely, so I'm just wondering how this pans out. That's all.
Mr. Mayor, if I could respond to that, and then I'll ask the manager just to confirm or correct what I'm saying. The law stands, but what is being recommended by the assessing officer is that based on experience everywhere else where there's no complaints, they believe that we can go ahead with approving it for a 6 a.m. start, but should the neighbours start to complain about impulse noises before 6 o'clock in the morning, if it becomes an issue, it will be beholden on the church to address that issue. So the law still stands, or the rule still stands, but they think that by saying to people that this condition applies, if they don't comply with it and it becomes a problem, they'll have to do something about it. Is that a correct assumption or not?
Mr. Mayor, yes. And We assess noise against two parameters. So the EPA differentiate between offensive noise and intrusive noise. In this case, we talk about intrusive noise. With intrusive noise, we are able to set a decibel level on it, which is a backstop. You need to give everyone some grace when we talk about noise. In this case, 35 decibels is most likely to be the background noise 6 o'clock in the morning in that part of Leeton. So that means the church need to operate below 40 decibels. The 40 decibels is very quiet. And if they can't operate below 40 decibels, there's conditions that require them to get an acoustic engineer in to do a proper assessment and to recommend engineering conditions to bring it down to that level. This is not a disco or anything like that we know from the start there's going to be noise issues. This is a fairly small church. Many of the members will probably just walk there because they live pretty close to the church. And there are backstops. There is processes in place should there be an issue. But as I mentioned, in 101 years, we haven't received a single complaint against this particular church. The way they operate, they have 4 different venues where they start 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. So what we're doing in front of you, you've got a DA in front of you with recommendations in there, right? Now, you read the recommendations, and if anybody wants to change a recommendation, this would be the time to talk to the manager. Who was to? Councillor Kidd.
Just some clarification.
Education.
Question. Looking at the plans, I know there's what I would call a garage on the southern side, and really very little in the way of windows there. Is there any insulation in that wall that faces south?
Mr. Mayor, yes, correct. So the walls that's facing the neighbours are solid, and the proposal is to put insulating materials in those walls to absorb any noise. So the majority of the windows is the windows that face the backyard as well as the street. There's generous setbacks to neighbouring properties. So I don't foresee any issues with noise there.
Was that a two-part question or?
Yeah, it's a couple.
Councillor, if you don't mind, Councillor Woodland. Councillor, could you carry on and then we'll go to Councillor.
Now, again, on the north side, I assume the same arrangements apply. And I know there's no windows there. Windows on the southern side, since you did have an objection from behind the property, is there any need to perhaps double glaze or anything like that?
Mr. Mayor, no. The setback to the neighbour's house on the southern side is quite far, and he's got a backyard shed in between the church and his dwelling. So it's anticipated that it will not be an issue.
Now, the other question is, I would see the major source of noise early in the morning to come from, as the block stands at the moment, coming from cars coming off Dalbarda Road into the property, which currently has an asphalt gravel type surface and a bit of crunching, I would imagine, of as tyres moved over that surface. So we can enforce bringing concrete right to the edge of Dalbarda Road to minimise that turning noise.
Mr. Mayor, that's correct. If I remember correctly, I think it's condition 32 that requires access driveway. Actually 21. Condition 21 requires a bitumen driveway, and that will be from the edge of the road to the property boundary. And the proposal is also to seal the internal driveways. So the vehicles won't drive over gravel or blue metal and things like that.
What about the actual asphalt surface? That required a noise?
It should be good.
Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Edwards.
I'm still having difficulties with the operational hours. So it's only going to be used 2 hours a week. Is that something that we're implementing as a condition? Just to clarify was that?
Mr. Manager. Or again.
Of the operational use.
Yeah. Mr. Manager, can you clarify the question that Councillor Edwards was asking?
Is on this Sunday at 7 p.m. So it's not going to be used. Of course, no one's there. It's not going to be a function or anything. Any other days? Is this
any other hours?
Mr. Mayor, yes, so condition 2 stipulates the approved hours. Should the applicant propose alternative hours, they have to come back to do a modification to the DA. They can't just do it. And if there's a modification proposed, we'll obviously go down the same process of notifying the neighbours. It will be the same process as what we just went.
Okay, that's why I just want to check. Thank you.
Right now, you've all read the conditions. I'll be happy to go forward to I'd like to move in a seconder, please, of the recommendation moved by Councillor Knightley, second by Councillor Tynan. Okay, all show your hands, please, and Councillor Tiffin as well. All in favour of the recommendations in front of you. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. Manager, and thank you to the public gathering. Thank you very much for your time, and hope everybody's happy. Right, we might move on to the next part. Oh, yeah, look, those members of the gallery, if you want, you can stay or we can leave. We've dealt with your particular report, so we're quite happy to leave. We can watch us and enjoy the night's entertainment. Right, well, what 8.14 is it?
Yes, that's correct.
8.14. Right, delegations of the authority for the mayor. Can I do that? I'm the mayor? Of course I can I?
Yes, you can.
All right, good. Well, the recommendations in front of, can we move in a second? Moved by Councillor Kidd, second by. I have a seconder for the recommendation in front of you.
Sorry, can I just ask
I need a seconder. I need a seconder for to debate the motion. Once again, 8.14 is delegation authority for the mayor. And this is usual procedure stuff to start off with. I need a mover, which is Councillor Kidd, and I need a seconder to debate. And Councillor Edwards, second the recommendation.
Are we seconding the debate of the recommendation?
No, we know.
Sorry, so we've just.
You second that recommendation? Yeah.
I just asked if we're actually seconding, I'm seconding the debate, and he said yes, and then I put my hand up.
Yes, so you can withdraw. Yes, we're not seconding it for debate in the motion.
Yeah.
So if Councillor Edwards is not supporting it, then rather get someone else to second it. Yep.
The recommendation is in front of you.
Yes.
We've had a mover. I mean, yes, seconded to start to debate this recommendation. For this recommendation to go into the motion, we need a move and a seconder.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to second.
Second,
Just got lost on my pages.
Right, so the recommendation in front of me is a motion. We're going to debate the motion. Councillor Kidd, you moved the recommendation. Do you want to speak on it? We'll wait at the end.
Just briefly, Mr. Mayor, these delegations that we're approving are standard practice, and there's information on choose to vary those. I've not seen before in those recommendations, so I'm happy with this.
All right, so the recommendation, which is now a motion, just up here, right? We need, is anybody speaking against this?
I just have a question, clarifying question. It's saying here that we are actually increasing the limitation to about $100,000 in terms of urgent works approval. What's the reason behind that? I understand the group of maintains theirs at like, what's the reason?
I'll refer to the general manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'll start by saying it's never been exercised at Leeton Shire Council, but it's essentially for what's not been exercised since 2015 when I've been here. In the case of an emergency, say there was a massive flood or a fire or some sort of disaster that hit the Shire, the Mayor would then have the ability to do some kind of emergency works that need to happen that are deemed to be urgent. 50,000 has been in the report for the last 10 years, and we know how everything's increased in costs. So we simply raised it to reflect the increase in cost. But if council would prefer 50,000 still, that certainly can remain, but yes. Yes, it's simply the cost of construction relative to what it was 10 years ago.
All right, so we had that was more of a clarification, Councillor Edwards, rather than a speak against in the motion. Yeah, right. Yeah,
I think it should actually be included.
That's okay.
For transparency, like we're doubling.
Yep, that's okay.
Approve.
Yeah, Councillor.
Mr. Mayor, perhaps if you'd indulge me for a moment for Councillor Edwards.
Yeah, right.
Anyway,
information.
Councillor Edwards.
Information.
If we go back to say 2012 when we had that unusual flooding event, the Mayor at the time authorised, mind you, it had to go through government departments because it basically punched a hole, main canal at Yanco to prevent Yanco from flooding. There are a lot of checks because we're punching holes in and affecting structures that weren't actually ours. But that would be an example where you had to take emergency action to prevent something worse happening. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Councillor Kidd. So we had Councillor Kidd moves the motion and he spoke for it. Councillor Edwards seek clarification on part of that. I take it. Yeah. So is anybody still speaking against this particular motion? No? All right, then I would like to move someone a vote of we need a vote to I'll put the motion forward for a vote. Those in favour of the recommendation? Anybody against it? No, good. Thank you very much. Right, moving on to the next one with delegation authority to the General Manager. 8.15. So once again, I need the recommendations in front of you. I need a motion. Most of the time, are moved by Councillor Wright, second by Councillor Kidd, that the recommendation becomes a motion, and Councillor Wright moved it. Do you want to say anything to it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, only that I don't see anything unusual about the delegations that we'd be giving to the General Manager, and I think that we should all be very mindful that the General Manager takes on a lot of responsibility, and any delegations that we withhold from her would then have to find someone else to do it. So I'm certainly not wanting to change that balance of duties at this time.
Good. Well, thank you. Is anybody against the motion? No.
So can I ask
Clarification? Point of
is this to delegate the authority to the General Manager for 4 weeks? without.
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
So
This
we
term.
have an option to review at that time.
Through Mr. Mayor, it gets, it will be for the next 4 years, but at any time, a council can bring a notice of motion to the council if they wish to see the delegation change. If it came up as something that you had concerns about, the council would be able to bring it forward as a notice of motion.
I wanted to make sure, I just think it's fine.
Yes.
She's, I don't know.
Yeah,
I doubt there will be, I hope there will be.
yeah,
Just want to make sure that.
no, that would be fine.
You're not voting
Yeah.
else, so, yeah.
And normally we have someone close the debate on the motion, but do you want to close the debate? We'll just go straight to a vote.
No further comments from me.
All those in favour of the recommendation, which is in front of you? Aye. Any against? No. All right, moving on to, I'm not going too fast, am I? Going on to 8.116, council representation on committees. The recommendation is in front of you. I need someone to move that recommendation to a motion if you want to, or put your own one in. Moved by Councillor Edwards, second by Councillor Maiden. All right, so the recommendation is the motion. Who moved that? It was Councillor
Edwards.
Yeah, Edwards. Do you want to say some words, Councillor Edwards?
Mr. Mayor, before we do, if I could just interrupt.
Yeah.
I've had feedback that the gallery and people on the screen aren't hearing. So would it be possible for councillors to speak very loudly? Thank you.
Can I speak in favour of the motion, Mr. Mayor?
Well, what we'll do, we'll just, he moved it, right? Councillor Edwards moved it, and you'll be able to speak in it when we go there. So, Councillor Edwards, you moved that motion?
Look, I think it's just very important. We discuss that as a council, we are committed to making sure that we are well aware of the range of issues. So that includes being on different representing council. So I just think this.
Is anybody against that recommendation? Sorry, the motion in front of you? No? Councillor Boric, do you want to say a few words?
I'd just like to comment. I'd like to speak in favour of the motion that it's very important for councillors to be present in the community, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to participate in so many different committees. And when you see all the committees in one big list, it impresses upon us the dedication and enthusiasm that Leeton residents have for their shire. And I just want to commend everyone involved in these committees for your efforts, and I look forward to working with you.
Right, thank you very much. Now we'll move to whether that motion to be in favour or in favour of the motion. Those against? Thank you very much. The next one is the 8.1.7 councillor portfolios, page 399. Last term of council, we saw councillors' portfolios introduced, which worked very well, especially around advocacy priorities. This term, I'm proposing that we follow the councillors pick up the following roles, and I might read them out loud to you just to go over them, right? Agriculture, including R&D, Councillor Morris. Arts and Culture, Councillor Kidd. CBD enhancement, local economy, including nighttime economy, Councillor Edwards. Digital capacity and connectivity, Councillor Edwards. Diversity and inclusion, Councillor Wright. Education, Councillor Tiffin. Environment sustainable, including climate change, Councillor Tiffin. Health services, including mental health, Councillor Kidd. Heritage and Art Deco, Councillor Wright. Housing, Councillor Tin. Sport and Recreation, Councillor Nardi. Tourism and Events, Councillor Mayton. Water Security, Councillor Morris. Welcoming Leeton, Councillor Weston. WR Connect, Councillor Weston. Youth and Children, Councillor Nardi. So that's a recommendation in front of you. Would someone like to move and second that recommendation, or have moved by Councillor Mayton, second by Councillor Tyne? Right, Councillor Mayton, did I say a few words in this?
probably nothing to add. I think they've been allocated fairly and we kind of expressed interest in what we saw fit. And I think it's great to kind of have a lead rather than, we know you've got massive responsibility as the mayor in terms of, you know, attending extra meetings, doing all of that. So where we can be that person, I think that's a great opportunity for all of us councillors.
Yeah, great, thank you. Is anybody against this recommendation? I'd just like to add also that I believe as mayor, I'm first amongst equal. We're all equal. I'm just first amongst equal. And I think this is great. We can spread the load around and also we can get more information coming back from different ideas of the community. All right, so I'll put the motion. All in favour? Those against? Thank you very much.
Mayor, just before we proceed, is it possible that the mics were off and that's why people couldn't hear us? Because our lights weren't on and I've turned on mine and the one next to me and I was just going to get everyone else to check. Yeah, we're.
How's the feedback go?
Do people at the back, are you hearing?
No.
Not much, yeah. So do you mind, councillor mate, I'm just practicing saying 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and see if 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And closer to the mic.
Can you hear us a bit better now? Yep, okay.
And maybe speak into the microphone, yep.
Like that microphone down, yep.
1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Councillor Edwards, want to have a go?
Do we just as well? Oh, that'd be loud voices.
Then again, we can turn them off and on as we speak, of course, as well. Otherwise, we'll have all.
I think it does pick up a lot of noise when they're on all the time like that.
Yeah, glass of the water getting poured out and pens and so forth. All right, we're happy to all move on, everybody? Yep. All right. Next one is 8.1.8, count back to fill casual vacancies in the office of council. I might just read something out to you. I hope no one on council is planning to leave anytime soon, but in case anyone does, the next item, 8.1.8, seeks to fill a vacancy by way of a count back instead of re-election. This opportunity is only open to us for 18 months. In the 18 months, someone or one of us 9 moves for one reason, we can go a count back. This opportunity is only open to 18 months. It is noted that with some confusion about what was constituted at the first meeting. So we do vote as a recommendation. We may or may not have a decision accepted. Can I call, before I do that, I might just get I might get the GM to explain a bit more on that one before we talk, before moving a second.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, when we read the Local Government Act and had a look at the fact that this had to go to the first meeting of council, we took it as the first meeting being the first ordinary meeting of council. You might recall that your oaths of office was thing. We've since had some feedback from the Office of Local Government that the first meeting is, doesn't matter if it's an ordinary meeting or a special meeting or extraordinary meeting, their definition of first meeting is the very first meeting. So there is no definition in the Local Government Act. We've looked for the definition of first meeting and it's only in some guidelines that we've found reference to the first meeting being the oaths of office. When you read the Local Government Act, it actually talks about councillor oaths and affirmations can occur before the first meeting. So we took it that the special meeting was before the first ordinary meeting. Anyway, this particular kind of motion hasn't been passed at Leeton Shire in the past 9 years. So we do apologise if it is going to be rejected by the OLG, but we will give it a go if council votes in favour of it.
We haven't moved anything yet. A point of clarification. Right.
Would the swearing meeting be considered an extraordinary meeting?
Yes.
And would that then, that would then dismiss it as first meeting, wouldn't it?
Well, that's the way we interpreted it as staff. It was especially called a special meeting for that purpose. But according to the Office of Local Government, the first meeting is any first meeting. So you could have had the oaths of office outside of something called a meeting. We could have gathered you all together and done the oaths of office. But because we called it a special meeting, they deem that to be the first meeting of council. So it's really, you know, this is where the interpretation of the law is, you kind of think, why don't they look at the intent of it as opposed to getting precise about what meeting?
Yeah.
But had you done your oaths of office outside of a meeting with me, then that would have been fine. This would be the first meeting, but because we called it a special meeting, they declare that, they deem that to have been the first meeting, but that's the situation.
Councillor Wright, you had your hand up.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, I just want to ask a question.
Sure.
Of whoever is appropriate to answer. Wouldn't it? We still wouldn't have, I think we wouldn't have, our first oath, our oath swearing and everything that we did, that is allowed to be outside of a meeting, but voting for the mayor would have still been in a meeting. So I don't think.
Correct.
What we did in the extraordinary meeting, we would have had to save that until today.
Yeah.
If we weren't going to have a meeting then.
Correct. Yeah.
That's correct, because we were going quite a few weeks with no mayor, no nothing. So we're trying to get this done as soon as possible, right? It's probably an oversight, right, or a misunderstanding of interpretation of the first meeting. But the bottom line is that if one of us leave in the next 18 months, right, the count back will be back to the only other person who was stood for council, which is one person, right? So after the 18 months, if one of us leaves, then it goes to a by-election, and then the whole of the community can come forward and put their hand up to be a member of the council. Right. Councillor Kidd, you want to ask?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. Elections are extremely expensive things, and you know, the public don't like going to elections very much. So that covers the first 18 months. I'm just wondering if the General Manager could elaborate what happens like in the term of the council. Is it 18 months or 12 months? If a councillor resigns, you don't have to have an election.
I understand it's 12 months.
12 months.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. So yes. So between 18 months and 24 months, or sorry, 18 months and the next 18 months, sorry, yes. You have to have a by-election, but in the last 12 months, council can vote to just keep going on with 8 councillors.
So the recommendation in front of you is still tell the office that we want to do that. Probably get knocked back, but we're going to do that. So it's only a recommendation. Can someone move the recommendation, or have they got a second motion to go? It's moved by Councillor Kidd, second by Councillor Maitland. So the recommendation is in front of you, which will go to the Office of Local Government. And so, Councillor Kidd, you moved it. Do you want to say some words?
I have nothing to.
All right, does anyone want to speak against the motion now? In regard to, no? No? All right then, I'll move that, I'll ask that this motion now, which was the recommendation, to be all in favour? Vote against? Yeah, all right, good, thank you. Right, now the next one, I have to show a conflict of interest. Councillor Kidd. That is Roxy Community Theatre Build and Budget Update. I've declared my conflict of interest prior, that I'm a contractor. I'll vacate this chair.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Good evening, councillors. We're looking at item 8.19, Roxy Community Theatre Build and Budget Update, on page 411. Item 818 is our 2 monthly report on the Roxy build, and the project manager is on hand to answer any questions along with the GM. Can we call for a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Wright, Councillor Edwards. Okay, did anyone wish to ask any questions? Councillor Maiden.
Through the chair or through the deputy mayor, can I ask a question to the committee in regards to fundraising, or is there someone that could speak to that here tonight? There's some in that item, it just speaks to the 300K fundraising effort, and I just wanted to see if we could get an update on that.
Yes, so through you, Mr Mayor, if it's all right with you, I'd like to ask Sue Gable, who is doing volunteer work for the Roxy Redevelopment Committee, to advise council on fundraising plans for the $300,000.
Thank you, Crystal. With regards to that, we've got a really good subcommittee we've put together, and we're working really hard to put together the information for that. There'll be different tiers. There'll be, we're going to do a one, we haven't got it ready yet, but we'll be doing something with selling the seats. We're also doing corporate sponsorship and other types of sponsorship. We've got Marianne Vitelli, Ionelli on board as well. And there's probably about 8 of us working on that. And then we've got about 50 or 60 other volunteers in the community working on it. But we're at the moment putting it all together before we start and go out to the community, building our database.
Yep. So that at this point in time, though, does that mean that no dollars have yet to be raised and it's just the planning process?
It is, but we have got some promises or some people that are really interested. Would you like to say something?
No, we have got commitments, Councillor Crystal, initially, which is really positive, and that's always a great way to start a campaign.
But those commitments, can I ask another question further to that or not?
Through you, Mr Mayor, through you, Mr Deputy Mayor, I wonder if, Catherine, would you mind coming forward? And so if councillors can direct their questions to me, and then I'll call the appropriate person to speak. So,
yep, no worries.
The question? Your question?
Yeah, so the question, you mentioned that there has already been commitment in terms of some of that fundraising effort. Is that from individuals in the community? Are we looking at businesses? And what kind of amount are we looking at?
And specifically in relation to the 300,000 for the chairs.
Yes. Yeah. So from the chair, it's a mix of corporate and individuals.
Okay. Yep. And it's relates specifically to the chairs only, not additional.
Correct at this point, but there will be other commitments coming. And we've done extensive work in engaging community leaders, and the response, which Sue has diligently recorded, the responses and the feedback from our community leaders, which has been really heartening. And yeah, we're very encouraged by what the community see and how they want to contribute to this project.
Okay, thank you. And apologies, I thought I asked, but through the Deputy Mayor to the GM, back to the Catherine, if possible. I guess I was wanting to ask, is there an actual amount that has been, kind of laid out in terms of that commitment with selling seats?
So with the commitments that you've got so far, can you put a dollar value to that?
It's probably 10% so far without even having put a campaign together.
So that would be 30,000.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep. So I remain absolutely positive and very encouraged.
Thank you.
And me too.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions with regard to this? This is a report that comes out bi-monthly, and it's mainly for noting, but it is an opportunity to ask questions about some of the financing and progress of the build, and we do have a number of people here tonight who can answer those questions. If you have
Mr. Deputy
some.
Mayor, could I give the very good news that the Office of Local Government yesterday confirmed their $1 million. So that's now locked in, which is very good news.
And it's interesting to note that 1 million will bring the grant contributions the final figure pretty close to about 60%, and reduces the community exposure.
There is another one, the disaster relief fund. That was another lot of money that was expected, is it?
That is the OLG money.
That's the one that's going to be put into the general fund and not used to buffer the loan or anything to do with the Roxy. Is that correct? That's what I read in the
Yes, so council made a commitment of 5.2 million to the project through a loan, but when we had the opportunity to get the $1 million, council's reduced its loan to 4.2 million. So the resolution is still that council's resolution on the books is 5.2 million, but at this point in time with the OLG contribution, council's loan has come down to 4.2 million.
So it would be due to reduce the capital of the loan?
Correct. Correct.
That's extraordinary good news, and rest assured, councillor, we are pursuing a number of avenues to extend funding and secure more funding for the whole process. Councillor Nardi, did you have a question there?
Through the Deputy Mayor sitting in the chair to the GM, just in the agenda on page 418 of 587, it's just stated here that Shell Energy has indicated that in October for the installation of the meter board, which will then allow Essential Energy to connect upgraded power. So I know that that is actually that date is actually being pushed behind. Have we been in touch with them to make sure that that date does not extend further?
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I have good news, but I also have the project manager here, so I'll ask Gideon Voss to give councillors a status update on the electricity connections.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I am happy to say that the electrical issues have been resolved. Over the weekend, we've actually had permanent power installed into the Roxy. All temporary power has been removed. So the long and short of it is that all the issues from the new upgrade all the way into the Roxy, the CT metering, Essential Energy, everything has been resolved and we have power within the building.
And just
fantastic
through you again to Gideon, if I may. And how is everything running?
We have not energized all the circuits. We're doing the circuits as we need to commission, predominantly smoke, HVAC. It's all, we're sort of following the occupation certificate checklist to make sure that we comply with that first and foremost. So there are additional circuits which we will energize at a later stage. Our focus is on getting occupation certificate. That's the main goal. Yeah.
More very good news there. Any Councillor Edwards' question?
I think it's essentially an extension of Sam's question. In regards to delays, I can't leave the house without people asking me when the Roxy is going to open. I literally can't.
I have to move, councillor.
Should I? So I just want to update on where those delays are now, like what has caused the most recent delays. Because I was told time again throughout the year it'd be open in August, and then I'd probably just like more of a comprehensive explanation of why there's so many delays. Is there any forecast for more delays as well? And is there a forecast to when it's actually going to open?
No, fortunately, we have the right man at the lectern at the moment.
And before the project manager speaks, if I could just make very clear, councillors understand is a stage 1 and a stage 2. So stage 2 is totally on hold at the moment. And so if Gideon Voss could answer in terms of stage 1.
So the major critical milestone that determined the occupation certificate was obviously, Councillor Knighty raised the electrical issue. That was sort of up in the air, out of our hands. Now that that's been resolved, we are fairly comfortable with our practical completion date. We've already booked in our final external certifier to do the occupation checklist. We had a preliminary one where essentially all the issues that were raised back then have all been addressed. So we're not foreseeing any additional delays. Having said that, as the project management team, we assess things on a daily basis and trying to manage them before they actually become an issue.
And so I'm guessing that as we know, there was a crash caused by organs, is the best word I can describe, into the Roxy the other week. That hasn't caused any significant delay. So just to rest assured.
Well, there won't be an issue on our occupation certificate because it's external. But it is a fairly lengthy process because it involves New South Wales Heritage, our heritage architect. They have to come up with a solution or an additional way of actually doing the repair. So that might be a lengthy process just to follow the procedure.
And I guess my final question for you, Deputy Mayor, is can you give an indication of when the community might be able to use the Roxy for the first time?
At this point in time, Councillor, the first show, I think, from an ops perspective, and we have the manager, is the 3rd of December will be the first one.
And if I could just add a caveat there, it will be very much part of a commissioning phase. So we're holding off the main launch until everything's tried and tested. So while there will be an event in the Roxy on the 3rd of December, it's still in the commissioning phase.
So do we have a deadline of when the commissioning phase will be completed, or is that?
It normally takes about 3 months to trial and test absolutely everything in a theatre. Would that be right?
Manager, that would mean we would be possibly subject to delays because we'd have to have inspections by the Board of Fire Commissioners.
The commissioning,
and we're coming into a Christmas break. Not too far. Well, it'll gallop up on us very quickly.
well, I suppose that, Mr. Deputy Mayor, there's two sides to it. There's the occupation certificate requirements, which is all the fire, the egress, the disabled amenities, all of that sort of thing falls under the occupation certificate. Then the commissioning phase is more to do with specialist equipment, lighting, sound, audio, visual, that sort of stuff is what will take time. And yes, you are correct. There is a Christmas break, but we have all our contractors on site currently doing everything they possibly can prior to Builders' Holiday.
And does that assist Councillor Edwards? Fine. Councillor Madam.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, just a kind of follow-up question from Councillor Edwards in relation to the show that's booked in on the 3rd of December. Can we get some details around that? Is that something that's going to be promoted, and is there any issue where we could run into problems again like we did with the Eisteddfod and the Band Spectacular, where we I guess get community expectations up quite high and then we drop them down when that possibly can't be delivered?
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I think they've taken a very conservative approach and feel confident that the 3rd of December can be delivered.
Just mindful that's only really 4 or 5 weeks away. Yeah.
It's part of the commissioning, so Catherine, you want to say something? If with your
Yes, certainly. And when you're speaking to us, could you also elaborate on what's to allay Councillor Madam's fears? what sort of warning would we have if we were going to blow out?
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Maiden, despite obviously the enormous disappointment from the community, the Eisteddfod were actually warned a month and a half. We had a good month with the Eisteddfod saying that this may be a possibility. Now, how that's communicated to their members is a separate issue. But in terms of the executive, we warned them because we don't have control of the power company. Okay, just for that perspective. In terms of the Community First program, we are working with all of those user groups, and Emma has worked extensively, including the town band, who have been incredibly understanding of the of things that we can't control, such as power connection, which only happened last weekend. So every community group from the 3rd of December onwards is working closely with Emma and the team so that whatever happens, we will have a system up and running for them to operate. So we've been working conservatively as we can. And in some cases, we've had to pull that cord. And for example, the Eisteddfod couldn't proceed. But we are confident, providing everything goes to plan, that the 3rd of December will ignite the Community First program, where we can not only commission and defect the building, but we can also train staff.
And so that event, or whatever it is on the 3rd of December, though, what actually is it?
So we've got Currajong. Yeah, it's Currajong, and they've been rehearsing, very excited. And so that'll be our first gig off the pat.
So or something.
Yeah, something like that. So the Community First program is basically we've given user groups and various cultural groups within the community to come up with what they'd like to present in whatever format, and we'll accommodate that. Emma's about to launch a marketing campaign and also our ticketing system. So this is a trial for both ticketing, it's a trial for our marketing, but it's at a very basic level as we commission the building.
Okay. I guess, yeah, I just wanted that explanation. I think you probably can understand our concerns and being a bit conservative around, I guess, being worried about where we'll be up to there. Yes, I understand that a lot of those things were out of your control. But I guess in regards to the Eisteddfod and whatnot, I wasn't aware 6 weeks out that there were concerns as a councillor. That was certainly not something we were aware of. It was only...
Well, we were also working on the basis that the power company would connect.
I know, but you're saying you're having a conversation with them 6 weeks prior.
Absolutely.
Not ever brought to our attention. So I'm talking to friends and people in the community going, I'm excited, the Eisteddfod's going. I was going to watch children, dance and so forth. And then we were only informed that week out. So I'm just adding that so you get where sometimes we're not entirely up to speed with the project and we're then putting different things out to the community. So I think it's really important that we're on the same page.
Let me be really clear. When we work with user groups that are moving into a new building, we have them to be, they need to be aware of the conditions of the building as we come closer. That is, whether the technical equipment's all going to work in the way they want to, whether we need to hire equipment. So we're working with those groups all the way through. So 4 to 6 weeks, we're saying, look, we hope this will be in place. We hope this will be in place, providing the power goes on. Yep, and that was the date we had. And we also informed our GM at that time, which was the same time council was informed that the power wasn't going to be connected. So we're trying to be as transparent as we can.
For us, though, that was literally a week before. But anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
I must admit I was absolutely heartbroken. We couldn't accommodate the dancing portion of the Eisteddfod. Very sad. We will be convening some more Roxy Redevelopment Committee meetings soon, and we will have 2 new councillors on that committee, Councillor Tynan, I believe, and Councillor Tiffin as well as Councillor Nardi, myself and Councillor Morris. And of course, any councillor is welcome to come along and join any discussions that we have. Councillor Tiffin, I know this is close to your heart. Did you have any particular questions or anything? Oh, you're all happy with that?
Hi, Michael.
I'll take a thumbs up.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but yeah, thanks. Not at this stage.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, if everyone's happy with where that's going, we'll put this to a vote. So all those in favour? Okay, none against, obviously. Thank you, councillors, and I shall vacate the chair and Mr Mayor, you can come back in.
Thank you, everybody. Our next item is 8.1.10 on the future operations of the Roxy. We have one speaker. I move to adjourn the meeting to hear from Sarah McIntyre, who is a member of the Roxy Development Committee. Please, can I have a second and a mover or second to adjourn the meeting so we can hear her? Thank you, Councillor Tyler. Right, yeah. Welcome. Sarah. Thank you. We have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Through extensive community consultation, the IRC has identified that in the past, the Roxy Theatre was significantly used as a hall for hire, with sound and lighting systems being underutilised due to limited availability of suitably trained technical staff. Community users have expressed frustration over the limited technical support available in the past, the necessity to manage many aspects of sound and lighting for themselves. The redevelopment of the Roxy facilities has improved safety, patron facilities, technical systems, among many, many others. Continuing to operate under previous conditions risks damages to the upgraded systems, especially the technical infrastructure, and hampers the potential future growth of the Roxy, growth of local performing arts community, and significantly reduces potential future revenue. Creative arts and live performance industry is a multi-billion-dollar sector in this nation, offering various funding avenues through government, art institutions, sponsorship and philanthropic organisations. Much of this funding is not available to council-operated entities. Transferring day-to-day operations of the Roxy to a suitable not-for-profit organisation could unlock substantial funding opportunities, thereby reducing the theatre's operating costs for the council. This change would also provide DGR and charitable status, attract skilled arts workers and partnerships, and allow greater flexibility in meeting the community needs, all while alleviating financial pressure on council. The unique technical skills and working conditions of the performing arts industry requires flexibility due to the irregular hours and seasonal work. Operating the Roxy under the Local Government Industry Award would lead to significantly higher wages. For instance, the Local Government Award allows ordinary work hours to be between 5 a.m. and 10 p.m, while the Live Performance Award extends these ordinary work hours from 7 a.m. to midnight. Transitioning to the Live Performance Award is the most cost-effective approach, but cannot occur if the council manages the theatre. To ensure the Roxy Community Theatre can operate sustainably while fulfilling its community objectives, the RRC recommends that council issues a non-binding expression of interest for arts organisations who are interested in managing the theatre. This approach provides a pathway for enhanced support, enhanced funding opportunities, benefits the theatre, the community and council.
Thank you very much, Sarah McIntyre. Is there any questions of Sarah McIntyre, her verbal submission tonight? Any questions that council might want to ask? Thank you very much. You can sit down now. Thank you. Good. I'll need a move and a seconder to go back into council. Move Councillor Kidd, seconded by Councillor Wright. Good. Right. Right. So we're back into council now. Right now, can I call for a move and a seconder to discuss 8.1?
Yeah. So we're not passing a motion yet. We're going to discuss this now.
No, we'll just come back in. Right. right? Now, of course, in front of you, there is a recommendation in front of you, but I'm looking for someone to move the recommendation.
And I'll have.
Move up, we've got a mover and a seconder, the recommendation from the staff, which is in front of you, has been moved and seconded by two councillors. Now that recommendation becomes the motion that we're going to debate. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Now the recommendation in front of you is a two-part recommendation, as you see. I'll read it out to you. Rescinds the decision to improve the model, and then the second part is in front of you. So, as it was moved by Councillor Kidd, do you want to say a few words, Councillor Kidd?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I will. Thank you. Strangely enough, there are plenty of people out there in the world that are much more intelligent than I and much more articulate.
You have 3 minutes.
And, while we're on that, probably better looking as well. I'm going to read tonight a letter that councillors, I certainly received from Mr. Bill Barwick. Bill is a great community member. If we had such things as Shire treasures, Bill would probably fit into that group. And I'll just read, because Bill's words are much better than mine. I'm writing to you regarding tomorrow night's council meeting item 8.1.10, endorsement for a new structure and EOI for Roxy Community Theatre. Two options are presented for councillors to consider. Option 1, outsourcing day-to-day operations, or option 2, in-house management of the theatre into the future. Background and context. I've been associated with the Roxy Theatre Management since 1983. I was the initial committee secretary for 22 years. Drawing on that considerable prior experience, I believe that option 1 provides more operational flexibility and scope for theatre performance for our redeveloped Roxy than option 2. You may be aware that the Roxy operated as a community theatre after 1978, run by an independent Roxy Community Theatre Management Committee. The theatre was provided with limited financial contributions periodically by Shire. In 2005, theatre management was taken over by Leeton Shire. This change helped streamline some operations and covered increasing and prohibitive insurance costs. Shire control also brought the theatre under the local government employment provision. Option 1, preferred. Option 1 retains the concept of public ownership and draws on the earlier operational model by constituting a third party for day-to-day management. This third party will be determined through an expression of interest. Our management board will report to the Shire regularly. As an independent body, the successful arts-based management group will be subject to the leasing and service level agreement requirements of Shire. And I must stress that. It will provide more operational flexibility and the potential to leverage Shire financial input more effectively. An independent management board will be able to source philanthropic and other support, if available, through grant applications and tax-deductible contributions. Effective governance will be achieved through a minimum statutory requirements of annual reporting to Shire and the ACNC. Roxy employees will come under a different award system to that of the Shire. Option 2, not preferred. Adopting option 2 will lock the theatre into the operational model that ran from early 2005 to the time the theatre redevelopment commenced.
Mr. Kidd, could you, Councillor Kidd, we've got 3 minutes.
3 minutes, almost finished there. While providing full control to Shire comes at considerable cost, including higher employment award rates. Option 2 also locks the theatre into the local government election cycle, puts greater onus on Shire and councillors to concern themselves with regular management issues from day to day as well. Conclusions, option 1 provides greater flexibility for future theatre operations. Until expressions of interest are sought under option 1, it will be unclear what not-for-profit arts associations may come forward. offering to be involved in future Roxy management. Seeking such EOIs, however, will ascertain if there's any interest. There are extensive governance safeguards built into the option 1 proposal that will protect the interests of the theatre, the public and the Shire. A Roxy board, as proposed in option 1, offers the possibility of management by responsible persons as defined by the ATO, Australian Tax Office, with the potential of satisfying DGR requirements. It will be able to pursue tax-deductible contributions and wider philanthropic sources. A Roxy board, as proposed in option 1, has the potential to attract a diverse skill set within its membership by seeking members experienced in finance, law, theatre management, heritage and the arts. Under option 1, guaranteed Shire financial involvement of 245,000 adjusted annually, and coverage of utility costs, show sponsorship, depreciation and loan repayments will allow the theatre to operate relatively independently and offer a diverse and culturally relevant experience for the public. Option 1 will create a management environment where the Roxy can respond quickly to public and cultural needs. It will share control between the community and local government. It will also maximise the benefits of an extensive theatre redevelopment for the benefit of Leeton Shire. That was written by William Barwick.
Thank you, Councillor Kidd.
Thank you for your indulgence, Mr Mayor.
That was a speaker for the recommendation. Does anybody want to speak against the recommendation?
Mayor, I'd like to
Speak against
I'd like to pass comment on the paragraph.
clarification, or are you speaking against it?
Not speaking, but I'd like to
Clarify.
not speaking against it. First of all, I'd like to see clarification that the expression of interest process documented is completely non-binding.
I might refer to the General Manager.
Through Ms.
Councillor Kidd, through the Mayor, but I'm looking forward to my answer from the General Manager.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I can confirm 100% that it's non-binding. It's strictly expressions of interest. Those expressions of interest will come in. They'll be reviewed through the Roxy Redevelopment Committee, brought back to council with a recommendation to proceed or not proceed. Council can then determine whether it even wants to proceed or not proceed. So it's really trying to assess if there's anyone out there who might be willing to pick up the role of running the theatre and leverage the council contribution by having charitable status so we can get additional funding.
Through the Mayor, the GM again. When that is all sent out, the Roxy Redevelopment Committee will have the capacity to establish service levels and expectations.
Absolutely, through you, Mr. Mayor. And some of those service level expectations are in the attachment. I think it was a page 448. It's not so much the service level, sorry, it's more the range of things that would have to be covered in an expression of interest. So they would have to outline in their plans how they're going to deliver the community's vision, not their own vision, the community's vision, how the organisation's set up for governance and insurance purposes, how they will cater to the needs and aspirations of traditional community users, such as our Stedford Town Band local schools, how they'll implement a performing arts school for youth, what are their intentions with a cafe and bar, how the service will be funded, noting a notional value of 245,000 from council, and then also whatever their credentials and experiences are in terms of running a theatre. Now the service level agreement details will be prepared by the Roxy Redevelopment Committee, and no one will be signing any of those without it coming back to council for full review and endorsement.
Yeah. May I make comment on the paragraph at the bottom of page 421?
Yes.
I may?
That's the mayor's call. Yes, but you may. Yeah.
Yeah, is that all right?
Go ahead.
When I read that, what I read is an acknowledgement that a project, a lot of effort was put into preparing this motion that was, from my position where I was sitting down there when it came back, was pushed through. We're in now a position where we're going backwards. It's rescinded, not done, never existed. It's my contention that had adequate forethought and research been put into the legalities of that proposition, we would not now be rescinding the motion.
Can you speak to the motion?
It's I'd be able to respond to that. Yeah.
So I find it quite confusing that to say that it's industrial relations, an issue that I'm sure that the industrial relations issues associated with the minister's doing would have been known at the time that the whole first motion back in June was presented.
General Manager.
Through Mr. Mayor, in getting guidance about how we should set up, we had legal advice from not one but two companies who all recommended a very similar model to this one. After council made that passed the resolution to go with this model, a council in the vicinity of Sydney alerted us to the fact that they'd just gone through the process in recent times and thinking they would get the same outcomes as we were after, but established that under the new New South Wales government, the minister had declared that if they were to set up this model, they were to stick with the local government award. And that put a different spin on it. And we thought it was prudent to bring back to council that this new information had come to light, and council might want to reconsider whether it's worthwhile going down that route.
Thank you. I take those last two comments from Councillor Tyne as a clarification. So I still haven't got a speaker against the motion. Is anybody speak against the motion?
Want to
yeah,
go ahead. A bit of a question. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the General Manager. If we do look at option one with the expressions of interest, I mean, is that just us being optimistic that we will get people putting in those expressions of interest, or is there a level of expectation that they would come in locally or external arts organisations that are in New South Wales? What does that look like? I'm just kind of wondering who might apply, and I guess it's a hard question, probably how long is a piece of string, but I'm trying to understand who would be inclined to put in an expression of interest.
You'd be able to answer that question,
Mr. Mayor, through Mr. Mayor, indications are that there might be some local community groups who will be interested. Obviously, they want to review the service level agreements and look at their own budgeting requirements. But we've had signals there may be more than we thought. There might only be one, but we've had some indication there might even be other groups that are interested. It is still it's ambitious. So I can't remember your exact words, like, are we hoping? Or
like, are we being optimistic?
We're definitely being optimistic. There is the the possibility that we won't get any expressions of interest, but I think there's enough motivation in the community to make the new Roxy work that some people are thinking, well, what can we contribute to making a difference? So at the end of the day, council's given the signal to management that they don't really want to increase the proportion of spend on the day-to-day operations compared to what we did before. So management had to think about, well, what other things can we do to leverage that money so that we can get greater income to do the things that the community has aspired to the Roxy. The big message that we got is we don't want to have done a major redevelopment and then open the doors and only have the resourcing to run things the way we used to have to run them. Hence this desire to call for expressions of interest to see who might be out there.
Okay, Catherine.
Could I ask for a clarification too? Sorry.
Yes, I just hang on 2 seconds, Councillor Tiffin. Councillor Tynan was first. I think second was councillor Tiffin, and then third was councillor Edwards, and councillor fourth was so. So are these all points of clarification? Councillors, are these all points of clarification, or are you speaking against the motion?
I will be speaking for the motion when I reach my
Right, well, then we'll
place.
Simone, we're getting clarification for councillor.
Through the mayor to the GM, let's assume there's no EOIs that come in. What's the backup plan?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, at that point, council will have to reconsider whether it's prepared to put additional rate funding in to run the theatre.
Right, thank you, councillor. Councillor Tiffin?
Through the mayor to the GM, I think, sorry. Is there going to be a board eventually as well as through the, like there's a board that we want to rescind and we want to go EOI, but will there be a board set up under the new model as well?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I can confirm for councillor Tiffin that every expression of interest respondent will have to explain their governance governance setup to us. So in some cases, it might be a board in a company limited by guarantee. In other cases, it might be an incorporated society. So as long as whoever responds gives us a very thorough explanation of how they're governed, and I suppose as long as anyone reviewing it feels that it's very robust, then those are the kinds of ideas that will be brought to council. So there will be a board and a committee. It will be constituted, and on top of their own constitution, very importantly, there will be a service level agreement between council and the group. And it's that service level agreement that will be very important for controlling, I won't use the word controlling, I'll rephrase that, for setting up the expectation of what needs to be delivered by a third party.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Councillor Edwards, is this a clarification?
It's also, actually, I think we are allowed to have a clarification of this.
That's right, that's right.
The Roxy has been a fiasco for the past few
No
years.
problem.
And most of the community are upset with how it's been handled.
Yeah.
We can't hear.
Oh, sorry, my microphone's on. I think we're allowed to, as councillors, we are allowed to ask clarification questions.
I haven't said you haven't.
Robust debate. The Roxy has been a fiasco for years. My clarification question is, when was legal advice sought around the Model 2B? Was that prior to the decision council made back in June? Or was that after the decision was made?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, in February 2023, an option was brought to council, which council voted down at that time. And so the Model 2B came to council after June. Did you say June? Yes, it was around that time that the second model was bought, but the first option was voted down, which in a way is almost coming back around again. Yes.
So Model 2B was that a new sort of decision made by council then?
Correct.
And that was on advice of two legal advisors, two separate legal advice, or was the legal advice sought after it occurred?
No, we sought legal advice before bringing the report to council. Yeah. Yes.
And so when were council made aware of this ministerial direction? I think that's what it says, ministerial conditions. Was that? So that was after June.
It was after council's decision was made.
How long ago?
Yeah, I can have to ask Emma, when did you arrive at council?
I started in March.
Yes. So it would have been after, so whenever the council decision was made, Emma was the person talking to another council who revealed this information to us, which is when we realised that the award conditions were changing, and it was a surprise even to the lawyers that had been advising us.
Okay, now I'm just confused. So the June 24 meeting, 2024, we decided to make the Model 2B.
Correct.
Even though we were already aware that those were ministerial conditions since.
No, that came after the meeting. I thought I'd said that before very clearly. The revelation about the award conditions came after the meeting.
Okay, so council was not aware of that beforehand?
Correct.
Because now we're just gonna, like, my understanding with this motion is we're rescinding Model 2B and we're just gonna pray to the gods that this is gonna work. To me, this is just a total fiasco. I understand that this is probably a better resolution than Model 2B and Model 2B can't be used. But I feel like I need assurance that council's doing everything possible can to see what best model there is, what best practice we can use. I don't know how I can do my job as a councillor representing the people if I'm just going to go, yeah, I'm just going to vote for this motion without understanding the implications, and I think there's going to be more lawyers involved.
You have an amendment to the motion.
Can't do that either.
You have an amendment to the motion.
Well, I guess I could try and push an amendment. Like I don't
What,
have
make an amendment?
So when I seek clarification prior to this meeting, it was to say, oh, it's just a non-binding resolution. I didn't realise it was so much more complicated than that. I feel like that we actually need to defer this decision to the next meeting, so we all understand as councillors what we're actually voting on for the community.
Is that speaking against the motion or amendment? I'm not too sure.
Point of order.
Speaking against the motion. Yeah.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. Before we entertain any amendments, shouldn't I still be able to speak for the existing motion?
Well, and any time someone can put amendment for too, and you debate the amendment before it goes back up. Well, it's only time a person can put an amendment to the motion on the book. So but he needs a seconder to amend.
But I was next. So they would have to wait till I've spoken for this.
No.
Motion before they.
Any time someone can amend the motion in front of us.
While they're speaking, while they have.
We're moving and a seconder. We're going to move and a seconder for the motion. All right, the motion is on the table. And I ask for someone for and against.
So can another councillor, while I'm speaking, if I was in the middle of my speaking for, could they interrupt me and propose an amendment?
I suggested that you might want to put an amendment if he's going to go on talking about against it. So
what's the order of proceedings is what I'm asking, Mr. Mayor.
I'm asking if Councillor Edwin wants to move an amendment. If not, I take he's spoken against the emotion.
Seeking for clarification, I just want to make sure that what I'm voting for is we're not just putting everything up in the air, hoping to the gods that something will happen and something will transpire. I feel like the committee was be sure than that, and to ensure that, yes, maybe we put number 3, that if you do rescind the motion, that council agrees to explore the option of outsourcing day-to-day operations, but number 3, council continues to explore other means of operating Roxy.
But we could add that.
You can add
third
that part, we
point.
can add that third part to it. I can add the third part too. I have a talk to the mover and the seconder if they're happy to add that to it. Could you just say with?
I feel like on what I'm reading is that it's just going to be all up in the air. And then if we just have a not to get the EO, then we just have to revisit another council meeting. All that we've been all prepped for, understand.
So, Mr. Mayor, I think I'm understanding from Councillor Edwards. He's suggesting we put in a third motion to say while the expression of interest is happening.
Third part.
I suppose a resolution might go that council requests management to continue to explore other options for operating the Roxy.
Who's responsible now to these books? Who's been coming up with those ideas? That's my question.
The Roxy Redevelopment Advisory Committee to council.
Do I need a second for his amendment?
You just need to ask the mover and second
Yeah,
if they're prepared to.
Move and second. Are you happy to add that point 3?
Sorry, does that make sense? Because to me, it's just saying we're going to.
Yeah.
I would just want to make sure that the community understands.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to kind of get back on track.
Yeah.
I'd like Councillor Edwards to actually make sure that this is exactly what he would like to put in place before Councillor Kidd and myself I would be comfortable negotiating that as long as he's okay with what's actually put forward.
Yeah, point 1 and point 2. Are you happy with point 1 and point 2? And then we add point 3. You happy with point 1 and 2? All right.
So just reading it out. So point 3 is request management to research other models to operating the Roxy Community Theatre, full stop. That's it. You don't want to add anything else to that.
Something for imposing an absolute extra cost to council. It's a major asset that we hold. And it's just been for us.
Yeah, so just so it doesn't get carried away, we just wanting to make sure, because other people would like to make some options that we can go around and make sure we have other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that was just added. That was just added.
To tweak that a little bit, Mr. Mayor, that would be my choice. Request management and the RRT to explore other models. Continue to explore other models, other operation models for the Roxy Community Theatre.
Okay.
I think that's.
Councillor Edwards, are you happy with that, those words? Councillor Kidd and Councillor Nadia, happy with those?
I just think there might be some other councillors.
That's okay. I'll just do one at a time. We're stitching together a motion, right? Just
to explore, continue to explore.
Parallel.
at the same time, in other words, saying, yeah.
Insourcing and outsourcing.
It just do six.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the word before operating should either be of or for, not to.
Is that correct? Say again.
Request management and Roxy to continue to explore in parallel 2.2, comma, other models of operating Roxy redevelopment. The Roxy Community Theatre.
All right. Now, we've got 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Did you want to add something? You're happy with that? All right. So, now the motion has been added to, right? So I might sort of seek anybody against this particular 3 point. Right. Does anybody else want to speak for this?
For the motion as a whole?
As it is there now, yeah. I'll wait. Get the grammar first. We get the grammar down first. I'm thinking from.
No. Yeah.
Oh, we're just waiting for the wordsmith to get things nice for us. Right, now, councillors, you can see what's in front of you and on the board behind me, right? We've crafted together a bit of a motion here. I've asked for anybody against it, and I've got nobody against it. So we're looking at Councillor Nadia. Is it okay that Councillor Wright talk for it before you?
Yes, it's fine.
Councillor Wright, you can talk. I take you talking to the motion.
Okay, well, look, I won't go on, but I'll make reference to Mr. Barwick's letter to all of the councillors that he sent today. And I actually wrote a reply to Bill because I really appreciate the effort that he and the rest of the Roxy redevelopment can put in. And I want to acknowledge the complexity of seeking out and trying to explore other models of operating what is such a complex, large project and building that a town our size normally wouldn't have and would normally not have this level of investment in. Tonight's vote does give council the opportunity to seek expressions of interest, and I think it's important to do that to find out, to confirm not just our speculation, but actually confirm who is out there and what they say to us. And I think that's valuable no matter what happens. as others have pointed out, it is non-binding, and any agreement, service level agreement or anything in future would have to come back to council for review and approval. So there's no risk. Long term, I think that whatever happens, some kind of arrangement in which council is not the operator of the Roxy is in the best interest of both entities. Council is in many ways intrinsically incapable with respect of operating such a complex and high quality arts and entertainment venue. It's unfair to set up council to fail in that endeavour. It's also unfair to the Roxy and to the community to deny the opportunity for the Roxy to flourish and reach its full potential. And that can't happen under council management. Many of us councillors, especially the new councillors, have come into the council through the voters wanting a council that deals with the essentials of council operations very much more clearly, much more focused way. And in many ways, the project of the Roxy has taken the council very far outside of its mandate. And in order that we can enable the council to get back to the roads, rates, and rubbish, as we represent the core values of the core operations of council, I think we need to actually see this as a positive and actually allowing council to do that. We need to find a way that the Roxy to be able to be run by really serious and experienced entertainment management professionals.
Not your 3 minutes, but it's getting close.
Someone smoking in here?
No.
It's not a call.
It's not by lies.
Okay, yeah. So look, I can tell you that I have a close family connection to the former director of the Griffith Entertainment Centre. I have a very close friend who is the director of the substation Arts Centre in Melbourne, a multi-million-dollar project that is probably on a similar financial scale to the Roxy, but obviously in a large metropolitan area. There is so much talent in the Australian arts administration community that we are very, whatever model we can figure out, there will be people who can lead that, who can steer that ship. We will get people who are willing to do it. And even if we don't get any EOIs, any expressions of interest from this process, I think that our steps after that should not be assuming that the council will just have to manage it as a council operations. We should try again, keep trying to find a model that will allow the Roxy to be managed in the way that all significant art, entertainment and arts venues are managed in Australia, the ones that really succeed and stand out. And I think that there has been a misconception in the community that the separation of the Roxy as an entity from the council is actually taking it away from the community. When you look at the detail, and as long as the details, the really minute details in any future service level agreement are very specific and have a lot of protections for the traditional community users, I believe that will really be enhancing the value of the Roxy to the community. So obviously tonight's motion is only the start of that journey, but I feel like I would really like to impress on my fellow councillors that when it comes back to us making a decision, we have to keep in mind the value of the Roxy and the true amount of talent that it takes to make it happen. And we just, with respect to the amazing work that the council employees do, that's just not their skill set and never will be. Thank you.
Thank you, Kev. Look, it's been very passionate, this particular report. I might just ask people to keep it their talk to 3 minutes. But if anybody else wants to speak for this, I'll give you a chance to, even Councillor Tiffin, Anyone want to speak towards this much? Because it's been pretty topical. I might just go back quickly to Councillor Nardi. You okay? If not,
I think we've discussed it as well tonight. Mr.
good,
Mayor.
all right.
We need to be on the same page.
Yeah.
And have another option, and I think that's what I feel like we.
Right, all right, great. And Councillor Kidd for closing the debate. We can move on for the motion to be put.
Yes, I really have nothing. I can just really stress the points that I made before.
Right.
What I will say, Mr. Mayor, as Councillor Wright says, the Roxy's a rare and it is a very unusual but privileged position that we are in to have charge of such an important thing. When I went to the Minister back in 2004 to ask for the Roxy to be put on the State Heritage List, we were only one of 7, and it was completely off State Heritage. Everyone in Leeton thought it was. The railway station was. There was a whole stack of things that were, but the Roxy, if that, we were one of only 7 heritage theatres in New South Wales, and even less in country areas. So it is a very big responsibility. It's been great to be part of it.
Thank you, Councillor Kidd. All right, everybody can see the recommendation, point 1, point 2, point 3. I'm going to put the motion to a vote. Those in favour? Sarah? Yeah?
Oh, sorry.
Those against? No. Thank you very much, councillors. I know it's a very passionate subject, very close to everybody's heart. So I allowed the debate to go a little bit longer than normal, but I think we needed to do that. Thank you very much. And thank you, staff. Thank you for those people who are involved with the report. Moving on to page. I'm up to. New structure that's been done.
511. That one there.
All right, our next item. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your.
Thank you.
I think we've displayed democracy tonight. We had everybody's point of view and we sewed together a bit of a good motion for everybody was happy with. Good. Our next item is 8.111, covers the results of the community satisfaction survey. Can I call for a move and a seconder, please, to discuss this? Moved by Councillor Tynan, Councillor Kidd. There'll be no further discussion. Oh no, sorry. Any discussion involved in this particular?
Just the only thing I'm curious about is that in statistics there's this term called power. It's the ability of a study to find a certain level of confidence. This stats are based upon a sample size of 400, which is, I think, a rather small percentage of Leeton. So this is just a comment, but can we figure out actually how powerful this study is? How reliable it is with respect to the ability of council to make decisions?
Yeah, I'll refer you to the manager, but we had the same question in the last term.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm no statistical expert, but I'm advised very strongly by the company whose business it is that 400 is a statistically valid sample. They've got all their, I've forgotten the word that they use that prove that it's statistically valid. They rely on the fact that this kind of survey, people don't opt in. It's not people that, often when you run surveys, it's people that are motivated. They're either motivated against something or motivated for something to put something in. Whereas by ringing people arbitrarily in the community, it means they reach people that council often doesn't get to hear from. And the number 400 for a resident population of 11,500 is deemed statistically valid. So if council wishes to go for more, we can easily go for more, but it'll cost more money. So next time, we do this about every second year. I'm very happy to get the companies that do this to actually put forward a quote for more. And then councillors can review that.
All right, councillor Tynan, that clarification was okay. All right, did I get a move in a second for this? Did I?
You have, yes.
I have, good. So, right, so we had a question from councillor Tynan. The person who moved it was councillor Tynan. I think you moved the motion, didn't you?
Yes.
So you want to talk to it before I go around the table for and against?
I think
If not, I
very interesting. Before reading, there are wonderful things happening. The part in the report that really drew my attention is that there does seem to be, I can't remember the page, but there does seem to be satisfaction. Sorry, should I be talking? Sorry.
and if you the comment to me as count, yeah, to me, but if you've got a.
The thing that really did strike me is that view of the public of council's worthiness or whatever, I don't know the exact word, it was all in the red. Now, I think that's telling thing. Those factors. Everything else here, I agree, is a fantastic point.
Right, great. Okay. If anybody wants to talk against the recommendation, the motion now. Don't think so. No, good. All right, normally we give the person who moved it to close the debate, but I don't. Right, so, a comment, go ahead, comment, yeah.
Those figures
comments and clarification.
was a decrease in some of those numbers were coming off incredibly high. Very, very high maths. And so, you know, they have to be viewed in that light.
Thank you, councillor Kidd. All right, so
just in discussion. I do know, like, I mean, obviously being at council, we do see surveys do come up quite a bit. And I do sometimes see a bit of like repetitive crossovers. And I know that like one of the, I'm just trying to find my notes, apologies. One of the suggestions were that they thought that, you know, sometimes council shouldn't start a project without one prior. And sometimes grant opportunities come up that, you know, whilst we get them, that's just how they do crossover. So like I can see the understanding of how people do feel things are a bit odd, but for an example, reasons for the level of support on page 471, you know, some of the examples in the green side was, you know, that there were some comments to maintain what we already have and make it better, but we'd like to see the town progress. Everything is starting to cost more, so this also is. As a community, we still need to grow, so if we want facilities, we have to pay them. And then on the opposite side, it's kind of like, it's a crossover saying the exact same thing. So for me, I find that, you know, what people want, then you're also going to find what we need to do. People are always going to disagree with that. And that's what I found this time round, obviously, because we've had big projects and we haven't been able to get them across the line enough without issues arising. And that's when I've noticed this time in this report that, you know, it's kind of like, it's bread for bread, really. And does that make sense? That people are sort of saying what they want and what they agree with, but also what they disagree with. So it's a bit of a murky water for me.
thank you very much then, councillor Nardi. So that was just a comment on that. I'd like to put the motion to a vote. Aye. Who's in favour of it? Aye. Those against? Thank you very much. Right, moving on to 8.11. This one here, 8.112. Results of the Leeton community. Now we've done that, haven't we?
Next one.
I've got two.
That one. The red writing.
Yeah. We now have the late item, sorry. We now have the late item, 8.1.12. That is a status update on the state of the Shire report. Can I call for a move and a seconder, please? For discussion by councillor Wright, a second by councillor Mason. Right, any discussion on the late report?
With your indulgence, it's the same debate about what's the first and what's the second meeting. But this has come to you as a holding report so that we can say that we brought it to the second meeting of council, but you will get the full report in November.
Everybody happy with that motion? All right, I might move straight on to, happy for a motion in favour of that, everybody? Yeah? Anybody against? No, all right. Moving on to 8.2.1, investment report for August 2024.
Read the red right.
Moving on to corporate matters, we have two investment reports of item 8.2.1 and 8.2.2. Right, I'll just finish off this. Is there a mover who's prepared to take both reports? Thank you very much. I need a seconder though for Councillor Kidd. Second, Councillor Rice. Good, thank you. That being the case, are we happy to have a discussion or just go straight to a?
I just have one thing to add.
Right.
Sorry, just for noting.
Right.
Just on page 504 of the bank reconciliation statement, I noticed that we did a transfer to the CBA working account of a large sum of money. That was a minus figure. Oh. Are we just using that money as just working to pay off something?
Our Councillor Nardi will find that particular. I might talk to the director of corporate or GM.
I'll ask to be referred to the director of corporate and.
Director of corporate.
Have you found it?
Yeah, so this is just a transfer for our normal day-to-day expenditure. So we keep on doing between our on-call accounts or our transaction accounts. That's what it is.
Yes, and that's the local CBA working account here. That's right. Yes.
Almost still. All right, my fellow councillors, are you happy with those two reports? Any more questions? If not, I might put it to a vote. If all in favour? Those against? Councillor Tiffin, thank you very much. So over to Toto. So let's go over to 8.2.3. I will all agree with that one. Annual disclosure of interest return.
Sorry.
I'll give you time to catch up.
All that.
All right, I might just give you a bit of background.
Page 522.
Yep, thank you.
All right. As elected representatives, we have to supply our annual disclosure of interest returns. Item 8.2.3 is an update of the returns for the last financial year. Can I call for a mover, which Councillor Kidd put his hand up, and a seconder? Councillor Tynan, thank you. Any discussion on that report?
Mr. Mayor, the non-disclosure, we report that to the LLG.
For the general manager?
Non-disclosure.
Or manager of corporate?
And then it's out of our hands. Do they take it further or do they just
Through Mr. Mayor, but you'd like me to answer? My understanding is that we just write to the local government with the situation as it is, and then we leave it up to them to decide what to do.
All right, clarification, that was okay. All right.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, has this happened before in the past?
I can't remember myself. I've been here since 95, but I can't remember. So that was just a question which I referred to the general manager or the manager of corporate. Has this happened before? Or answer is no, I suppose.
Not in the 9 years I've been here.
No. Is that a legal question, Councillor Nardi? No.
Yeah, no, just.
Right. All right, then if everybody's happy, we'll move that recommendation to a motion to be passed. Or hands, please. Vote again. All right, thank you very much. All right. Investment report 8.2.2. Oh, hang on, sorry. No.
Over there.
This one here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That one.
Crosses off as they go, eh? There's that.
Out of order, Mr. Mayor.
That's an idea, isn't it? Right. Yeah, item 8.3.1. Minutes of local area command. Next, we are on to the minutes of the traffic committee for the new new councillors to understand. Before we proceed, the GM, would you like to update us about the Outback Band Spectacular?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Outback Band Spectacular will now be hosting an event at Chelmsford Place at the town square on the 9th of November, which will involve a road closure, a bit like happened at the movie night. That has been advised to the Traffic Committee, and Transport for New South Wales has basically said that they're very comfortable that it's happened before, it'll be very similar, they didn't need a special report. So it's simply for noting that while there isn't a specific item on your agenda for the Outback Band Spectacular, it'll follow a similar path that the movie night followed. It's for information.
Point of clarification for council.
Just a quick question through the mayor to the GM. Is that the same evening as the street party on Church Street, or is that a different? No, not the night markets this weekend. I'm talking about the Wade Hotel.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I could please just check with the director. Do you know? Is the street party on Wade Avenue the same night as the Outback Band Spectacular?
Yes, the Wade Hotel Street party, which is on Church Street, is the same night as the Outback Band Spectacular.
Yep, no worries. I just wanted to check.
And I take it they both know of each other,
But it won't, I mean, yeah, different ends of town.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I have a question to the director. Would you agree that there'll be something for everyone that night?
Yes, there will be.
Take out the comment.
Wander between the two.
Councillor Edwards, I thought I saw your hand up. No? There you are. Okay. All right. So, councillors, you see the report in front of you. I had a move and a seconder for that.
Not yet.
I need a move and a seconder, please, for the minutes, for local area tomorrow. Councillor Kidd, Councillor Mason, thank you. Have you all read that? If everybody's happy with that report, I'd like to, no further discussion, we might move to a vote for that one. All in favour? Aye. Those against? Thank you, Councillor Tiffin. I can see you there. I know you're alive. Okay. All right, next one is Capital Works update at 8.3.2. 8.3.2 is our quarterly Capital Works update. So every quarterly we get an update. This covers Chelmsford Town Square and the Vance Estate. Can I call for a move and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Kidd, second by Councillor
Just a mention, Mr. Mayor, that it's not the mayor's projects, it's the major projects in the capital heading.
Yes, nice. I thought it got changed. I know, I said, so I did. I said that night, I said, didn't I?
Just a spelling mistake, thank you.
Yeah, typo. Any discussion on those reports? The first one is Chelmsford Town Square, which is looking quite nice. All right, then.
Sorry, yes, I did miss Matt.
You have. Okay.
I think just in discussion in previous meetings, we were discussing that with the removal of the water feature which wasn't working, that we were going to do something in regards to Lee Noble's artwork tiling. Could we get a bit of a feedback on?
Yeah, I just refer you to the general manager.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and it's all underway, and I'll ask the Director of Operations to update us because he's managing that project. Thank you.
Through the chair, we've commissioned the tiles, so they're in the process of being produced. We've re-plastered these walls on the outside, and they are then going to take the tiles directly placed on them. The only decision we have to make is that we dig out the planter beds and re-waterproof those planter beds, and I suspect that's something that we're going to have to do. It's not something we envisaged, but having removed all of the old render, we found that there is a lot of water egress out of the current planters. So It may take a little longer than we had hoped. The only question remaining is, do we put a frame around them? And the current thinking is that we do not. We cut into the render and put them into the wall, which will reduce the inclination for people to vandalise them.
Yeah, great. Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? So there'll be some sort of, oh, not plaque, but something to say what it is?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that will include one notes about the artist or acknowledgement of the artist, plus the fact that it was 75 years of local government.
You're not going to put up a plaque without everybody having seen the draft of the wording.
Councillor Maiden, you had your hand up?
Just a question through you, Mr Mayor, to the Director of Operations in relation to Chelmsford Town Square, which I will comment is looking fantastic and well done to all involved. Just asking, had a few people asking me, is the fountain, the water feature, when is it turned on? Is it on a timer? Are there certain days of the week it doesn't run? And I'm not sure what answer to give them. Yes.
Mr Chairman, I have the following to report. Birds getting into the trees and chewing off bits and pieces of the tree or getting into the fountain and blocking the jets. So we're putting a new filter into that. Oh, you know, we did. Rill, while reasonably immune to that sort of thing, all comes to a point at the end where it's got to go down into the holding tank and it hits a mesh sieve. That mesh sieve is getting covered with the same deleterious crap from the birds as the fountain. What that means is we run the very real risk of draining the tank. And if we do that, we run the risk of losing the pumps. I've got a fail safe on them. And now we're looking at ways to try and keep that mesh grill clear. We will keep you posted.
Thank you.
The idea was, and the GM had instructed me that it would be on all day.
Yeah.
Not just yet.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, just a few teething problems, folks.
Sorry, the ghost in the machine here. Yeah, did you guys say before that the tiles from an artwork of Lee Nobles was what was being reconfigured? Yeah, and will there be like an unveiling and her daughter and people would get invited? Is it like that, or has the family been consulted?
I'm absolutely certain that there will be such an event.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm just Bob the Builder, so
right.
I can only tell you how it's going to look and not the ceremony that will go behind it. But I'm very certain that I'm not going to do any unveiling myself, but that the council will arrange something.
And we talked to the family, yeah.
That's a good idea, councillor. But we haven't put that far in front. But,
no, sorry, that's all. I just had that thought pop into my head.
Was there another councillor had his hand up? Councillor Edwards.
For you, Mayor, to Director General Manager. I just want an understanding of when, in regards to the Mayor's industrial estate expansion, with the increased cost of development impact, that's one of the risk management titles, increased cost of development impact business case. When will new sales valuations occur?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
New sales valuations being received.
General Manager through to.
Was that a confidential?
No, I think we're just struggling to hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
So I think because you're looking down.
Yes.
I think I feel like councillor.
I do want clarification around when we will have a valuer come in to.
So that's the second report tonight.
That's that second report in the confidential. The second report. We can talk more about that in confidential part of it because it concerns.
Well, it wasn't the same item to me, so yeah.
Yeah, it's a little trick, my friend. We get the report in the main body, but we also get the part in confidential. That's okay. We're here to help you.
We all are, don't worry. I was getting trouble too.
I did think we should have.
Yeah, in the early days, yeah. We might just wait for 2 seconds and just get,
Yeah.
Okay.
Press it, and it just is trying to log in as you current.
sometimes that part of the report needs to have more talk about either a private matter or a commercial matter.
So all good?
All right? Good. All right, now we've got that in front of us still. We've still got the two major updates. Is there any more questions to their staff about the two major projects that we've got in front of us? All right, I had to move them. Move the second.
That might be.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it's good to see it's all green.
Right, good. Green's good colour. That's good.
Green's great colour.
And just one final note. I know we probably have someone within council, I'm assuming it possibly could be someone like Chris Lushbrook, working on removing the rubber marks from the Roxy Corner, from the accident. How are we progressing with?
Through Mr. Mayor, remedial action is being planned and Gideon Voss is the project manager. So,
Yeah. Right, there's no more further discussion about this particular report. We're going to move in a second. I'm happy to put it towards a vote. Everybody for, favour? Thank you very much. Great. Right, notion of motions. Now we've moved on to a part of the meeting that we don't normally have. That will be the activity report. I'd like to read you. Now, thank you, councillors, as we have such a hefty agenda tonight and it's early in the term. We won't do our usual activity reports tonight. What we normally do is that this time in a month's time, we've done certain little things on behalf of council. And I might just take the opportunity, okay? Yeah, right, the opportunity. Like I said, I'm first amongst equals, right? So I'll be asking if you councillors to help out with some of the duties with representing myself in for your portfolio. You got portfolios. I think it'd be great for you people to be involved, not you people, you councillors to be involved with representing myself here and there around the place, you know, because we're all here together. So what might happen in a month's time, you might be representing me at the band spectacular, which you're not. I'm doing that, right? But this will happen from time to time. All right. So this time, in a month's time, they'll ask you about 5 days out or 10 days out. What activities have you been doing on behalf of council? And some of your committees you're on as well will also be wrote down. So we can see that you're going to different committees and you might be able to speak on that and give some information. You might be on the Yanko Town Hall. Okay, maybe. Councillor.
Mr. Mayor, well, a question for you, Mr. Mayor. That process of the activity report being given, is that something we need to compile a record of activities, or can we email it through to someone?
What happens, we'll send out an email to you and say, can you give me activity between this date and this date, right? Yeah. And then you do, I normally go to my laptop and just go through, oh yeah,
calendar.
Done that, yeah.
So Melissa will generally send out an email, ask what have you been to in town and what have you been to, whether it be activity wise. So just say for example, like Councillor Edwards is part of the Phantoms Football Committee, so he might say that he went to like a committee meeting in regards to that. It's not more for social events as such. Like you're not going to say I attended a football game.
Councillor Nardi, if you can represent council.
But yeah,
and if I went to, if I went to, for example, Light Up Leeton and I wore my badge, is that violating any policy, or how does that work?
That's a bit of a grey area. What's going to come up soon is that we're going to have presentation at the schools.
Yeah.
Schools, right? So you'll be representing council at the school, right? That'll be one for sure.
And is that'll be agreed by you and me?
Yeah. What we do, we'll get after a while, we'll get from Melissa will give us a list. As they come in all the time. Yeah. And then I need to go, my job to go, but sometimes where this may be more appropriate for yourself to go. Or Councillor Edwards to go, Like today, Councillor Kidd, you represented council at 2 meetings today. You want to just give them an idea what we're talking about?
The highway and the Neil Highway meetings for Andrew, and we also had the first meeting of the Collaborative Care Health Committee here in the chambers.
And thank you, Councillor. And just correct me if I'm wrong, General Manager, because tonight we've actually endorsed those committees for portfolios. You'll get the information coming to you now about those committees you're on.
Will Melissa be putting those in our calendars the way she puts everything else in? Or is that Sarah? I'm sure who's been doing it.
Melissa doesn't do that. Sarah's
Manager Corporation, do you want to expand on what I've just been saying?
Mr. Mayor, through the General Manager and the Mayor, to Councillor Wright, yes, you're correct. So obviously the committees and the portfolios have been adopted by council. So the next step will be liaising with the responsible officer with regards to your committees, getting those dates, and they'll be in your calendars.
I'll make a comment, Mr. Mayor. This time of year, everybody wants a piece of the mayor. You know, there's a lot of community groups that'll be having a morning tea or a Christmas party. There'll be, most of the schools will have an event on or a concert. They want the mayor for a special guest. Unfortunately, we can't chop him into 47 pieces.
I need to lose weight, that's okay.
Well, and so the mayor or, and often through Melissa will ask if there's someone available to go to. I got a request for St Joseph's School today. So, you know, and Melissa actually gets to know where your interests lie, and she's very good at lining up the ducks, so to speak.
Right, thank you, Councillor Edwards.
Just turning back to the actual submission of the reports, I just want to clarify. So that's only when it's official council business. So
correct.
If I go to the committee,
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure. So that's anything I do outside as a community representative, it's not necessary.
To be honest, Councillor Edwards, ever so often I see something like that come up in someone's council, they've gone to something, and I think, oh, that's not actually a council person, but it's good information anyway. Someone's gone along to it and we get some information.
Sometimes it's good just if you feel the need to attend and to make us aware of something that we may not have been aware of. But yeah, it's always good to.
And if we, sorry.
Go ahead, Councillor Tiffin.
If we get invited, like say my little nephew's like, oh, Arnie says is on the council, come and tell us what it's like. We're allowed to go and do that sort of thing independently, or we've got to make sure you know we're doing it, or?
I refer to the General Manager. I would say, yes, it's okay, but as long as you don't get into big debates about council policy, I suppose we should go against it.
No, not with the 8-year-olds, or maybe, I don't know. No, but yeah, like, you know, we can represent council in ways that we see fit, but you will also delegate to us, right? When you need to,
we are digressing from the agenda. We've just what should we talk about? So we'll do that on the weekend, right? So help the new councillors understand what's going on. Now, the next item on the agenda.
That's where I read that but there.
Oh, my glasses. In accordance with Local Government Act 1993 and the Local Government General Regulation 2005, in the opinion of the General Manager, the following business is of a kind of, as referred in section 10A-2 of the Act, and should be dealt with in part of the meeting enclosed to the media and the public. Item 10.1 is the tender of the quarry products, and 10.2 is the sale of the piece of land advanced estate. Does everybody agree with dealing on these matters in confidential? Do everybody agree?
Yeah.
Right, good. In that case, I'll call for a move and a seconder that we can move into moved by Councillor Mason, second by Councillor Tyner. So we moved into, now we turn off the recording machines.